yeah, getting in the mood like we always do on a Monday afternoon, at least where we're at here.
Why'd your sound change completely?
Is it changed? Is my sound different?
Okay, there it goes now. Because you just sound all hollow all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, you never know. Well, it's you know what, I'm trying to imitate a human being. It's not easy. I got to remember how to sound sometimes. But anyway, welcome everybody to another live episode of Game Time here on the Outlaw Nation channel. Sit back, relax. We're talking 2 hours of sports talk and catching up on everything that's been happening over the last few days. I am one of your hosts. I'm the Outlaw John Rocha, joined as always by my friend right there in the middle, Mr. Jay Washington. How are you, Jay?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I am here. I had to come home to Chicago. I had to get out of my apartment. I had to just get out for the weekend. And I, keep forgetting that I am from Chicago. And there's this shit called snowstorms.
Yeah.
And I'm in the middle of one right now. So
Stay alive,
I'm good
man.
Though. I'm used to it, but it's just like, God damn it, I came during the snowstorm.
And we're joined for the next few weeks. We'll be joined. I'm making the announcement now by Mr. Joshua Tapia, JTE, stepping in for Winston Marshall, who's been doing his casting job and just it's getting overwhelming. So I reached out to JT, and he was very gracious to accept coming on to the show going forward. How are you, man? How are things, dude?
I'm good, man. I don't know, Jay. I don't know what's going on in LA, but I pull up my weather app and I see it's like 75 degrees there, and I don't know why in the hell I'm coming over here.
I'm so upset. I was like,
it's negative.
Not a bitch.
It's been -5 here for like a week. Like it hasn't even got to 0 barely. I don't understand. I wouldn't leave LA ever again.
Yeah.
I mean, I always miss home, and then also if I had a better apartment, I probably wouldn't have left. Let's just say that.
That's a fair thing. Listen, we'll be going, as I said, we're going over the next 2 hours talking about all the big sports news. But remember, StreamLabs and SuperChats are so important to help support the show, help keep the lights on here on the Outlaw Nation. So please send in your StreamLabs SuperChats. I've pinned the address in the chat. Also, you can look at the address there in the description or above Jay's head, right up there, and send in your donations and your support for the show. You get all this great content, all this great conversations that we get here on Game Time through your support. All right, let's jump into it. And thanks to everybody who's joining us live right now. Don't forget to hit a like on this as well as we go along. Please, that thumbs up. First story we're jumping into is this J.J. Watt story. This is as rare as a Chicago winter without a snowstorm, if I can. A team has allowed its premier player to get his release early without trying to trade it, without costing him. Incredible stuff. J.J. Watt asked for and received this release from the Houston Texans. He was drafted by the Texans in 2011 with the number 11 pick. He became the face of the franchise. You could argue that, right behind Deshaun Watson, depending on the year, especially if he's out with an injury or not. He won 3 NFL Defensive Player of the Years between 2012 and 2015. He issued a great statement on Twitter, did it on video, didn't want to do anything else. He put a video on Twitter telling the Texans fans and everyone about what he is going to do. He had 1 year remaining on his contract that he had signed in 2014. He was owed $17.5 million in 2021, but it was not guaranteed. He is now free to sign with any other team. Jay Washington, I go to you first on this one. This is a premier defensive player. And yes, he's not been healthy for a number of seasons over the last few seasons. He's gone out for the rest of the season with injuries sometimes, but still a premier player that can change your defense. What is your reaction to the Houston Texans? Essentially for free.
Houston's fucking up. That's all that is. That shows you how bad everything is in Houston. That shows you how much a nightmare it's got to be over there. If J.J. Watt was like, I'm out, I'm done.
Yeah.
Because also he sees that it's funny. They gave him his release. Mm-hmm. He sees Deshaun want his out. He want out too. Yeah. Again, Jadeveon Clowney, gone. Deshaun Jackson, gone. All these people gone from there.
Yeah.
Gone. And now you got Deshaun want to leave, JJ gone. It is a shitstorm in Houston, and they don't know what to do because it's going to be terrible when it's, oh my God, it's about to be terrible.
Well, and that's the situation, JT, when you look at this. Yes, you let him go, and Deshaun Watson, they're pushing back, saying there's a lot of misinformation out there. The executives are, the owner is, and they're saying that they're going to try to keep Deshaun as much as possible. But you look at this situation, JT, and it makes it very, very clear. You got a new coach coming in, new GM coming in. How does this make any sense for them, or do you think they made the right move here by releasing him and doing a little bit of good PR for the Texan fans?
Well, when I first saw this, the first thing I thought of was, Deshaun Watson he's out of here. He's got to be on his way out. But they are so adamant in the press saying he is going to be a Texan. The GM, I think yesterday said Watson will be remaining a Texan. He's not going anywhere. And I would maybe believe that if they didn't just get rid of JJ Watt. Right. JJ Watt had to see the road ahead and be like, I'm not going to be here with Watson. Like, they're going to be going through a rebuilding stage. Yeah. And he is, like you said, he is a dominant player. He's not what he was when he's the MVP. And when you're in that stage of your career, you want to get a ring. You want to get a title. So I think it was pretty much, he had such a great relationship with that city and that team. Yeah. I think he went to the owner and said, listen, you guys aren't in competition for a championship right now. We don't know what's going on with Watson. He's probably not going to be here. We've had such a great relationship. Let me go and try to get a ring. Let me go to a team that is trying to be in contention. Yeah. And I think Houston had such a great relationship with JJ Watt. And it's rare that you get that kind of relationship with a player. Mm-hmm. But if you see what he's done outside of football in that city, like, he is beloved. He has done so much for the community. Mm-hmm. So I think this really was a mutual respect thing. I think he's at a point in his career where he wants to go for a title. And unfortunately, Jay was mentioning all these players. Mm-hmm. He even mentioned Hopkins, Clowney, Deshaun Watson, J. Watt. On paper, that is a all-star team on like almost every position, and they just missed their window. And that happens in NFL. You have a certain window with a certain amount of players. If you don't make it, you got to kind of start over, and I think that's what's happening in Houston.
Yeah, and you look at the situation here also, Jay, do you think because Houston has been suffering so many bad PR situations over the last year due to Bill O'Brien's decisions to trade DeAndre Hopkins, which made no fucking sense, due to the Deshaun Watson wasting one of the greatest seasons ever by an NFL quarterback? And if you look at Deshaun Watson's numbers,
that's what I meant. DeAndre Hopkins earlier. I'm sorry. Pardon.
Yeah, no worries. But like, you look at this, and then now JJ Watt's leaving, and Deshaun. Why would Deshaun stay? Why in the hell would you stay? So, do you think JJ went to them and said, "Listen, you don't want another PR nightmare. Let me go. My money's not guaranteed next year, so you're not losing any money. Let me go someplace else and do my thing, and it'll help you guys a little bit." Is this JJ Watt's like final gift to the Houston Texans?
How does it help? How does it help? Okay, yeah, there's no money left on his thing. That's one thing. But at the same time, who does it really help? Yeah. Because it's still a PR nightmare for the Texans. Think about it. You just hear you've released JJ Watt. Yeah. There is nothing positive behind that.
Yeah.
Again, yes, injuries and all that are taken into account. But you're Houston. Yeah. You lose DeAndre Hopkins. You lose Jadeveon Clowney. Deshaun Watson wants out of here. JJ Watt. The four of them together were the Texans. Remember, this was the core, the nucleus of that team.
Yeah.
And now every little bit has been pulled away. You have a nightmare going no matter whether you want to admit it or not. There's nothing you can do. No matter how nicely JJ Watt could have said, look, just let me go. Yeah. Just let's not make this a big thing. Just let me go. No matter how he says it, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, look at this.
I'm about to fix this camera real quick.
Oh, no worries, man. You look at this JTE. Mm-hmm. Watt, this is one of those rare seasons over the last few seasons. It's just his second time this past season that he has finished the entire season without going down to injury. The last time he did it was in 2015. The irony that during a COVID season, he was able to stay on the field throughout this whole season and then ranked 15th out of 119 qualified pass rushers. This isn't a guy who's like on the back end of his career. Yes, will he be gone in the next few years? Probably, but he can still motor. He can still do this thing. Oh, yeah. So where do you see him ending up? Let's move to that part of this conversation. They've been mentioned the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cleveland Browns, the Buffalo Bills, the Tennessee Titans. Hell, his brother, I think TJ Watt, took to Twitter and tried to convince him to come to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It would be the first time ever 3 brothers playing on the same team with Derek Watt over there as well. What's your feeling about all this?
Well, I can tell you, like where I am right now in Milwaukee, there's a lot of buzz him coming to Green Bay.
Yeah, really?
And,
wow.
And think about it. He's from Wisconsin.
Right.
He's beloved out here, even though he plays for the Texans. So I feel like if he actually came to Green Bay, that fits it checks all the boxes. If I was JJ Watt,
he'd come here first because of the
Chicago.
Here's why.
Well, who's your quarterback?
Again, you got players like so. One thing I say week in and week out on the show, and I will always bring it up. No matter what the sport is, depending on the player and the level in which they are outside of the game, they have to. The markets have to match. Going to Green Bay makes an easy 3, 4, 5 hour drive down. Being directly in Chicago puts him in the Chicago market. It's a major market. He can make major deals through that.
But I feel like JJ Watt is at the point in his career where the market is not as important as winning a championship.
I agree. Both are.
I mean, he is a veteran. He's like you said, Rocha, a lot of injuries. He's kind of, a couple of years, he might be out of the league. At this point, I think his main focus, he's made his money. He's going to make money wherever he goes. And to play in your hometown, Wisconsin, and at the end of the day, whatever team I think he has the best chance to win the Super Bowl with is where he's going to go. I don't think it's about money. So Green Bay was one game away.
That's the thing, and I think that's the conversation we have to have now for JJ Watt. Yes, this is great. You're being released. You're not going to have to worry about being traded or any of these kind of any of this kind of issues or anything. So now it's like, okay, you can go where you want to go, but where do you go? Is Aaron Rodgers 100% confirmed to be coming back to Green Bay? There's a lot of questions about that situation with how Aaron ended that season and the legitimate issues that seem to be there between him and LaFleur. He threw LaFleur under the bus after the championship game this year. He threw LaFleur under the bus last year as well.
Rightfully, he should have
destroyed.
But we said this from jump. Whose team is it?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
LaFleur came in, we were like, is it LaFleur's team? Is it Rodgers' team?
Right. And that's my point at the end of the day here, Jay, is what I'm getting at is that I don't see a stable situation for him to go to. If he goes to Chicago, JT was right, there's no quarterback there. If he goes to Pittsburgh, Ben's almost done. Ben literally was just trash in the last month and a half of the season. And so you look at this and you're like, where is the situation? And the Cleveland Browns pop up. And I think that could be an interesting place for him to go. If he could help bring Cleveland a title, it would be akin to what Reggie White did when he went to Green Bay and brought them a title after so many years with Favre. So I think that's the possibility for me. The 49ers are unstable as well. Is Jimmy G the quarterback? Case Keenum? What's his face? The other young guy that was there that we beat the Washington. But anyway, he's got there's not a lot of stability around the league where he can go. And I wonder about that situation for him because, like as you said, JT, he wants that ring. So where do you see that happening, Jay?
I mean, if that be the case, if we look at this for sure that it's a ring thing, we're looking at it's a ring thing. It's a ring thing. It's a ring thing. Again, Green Bay becomes out of the question as a for sure shot because of the uncertainty of Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
What's the money situation now? If money is not an issue of him going anywhere. If he is willing to go for whatever amount, look at him to drop down to Tampa Bay.
Wow. What do you think, JT? I mean,
are we talking rings?
Yeah.
The conversation just said.
I agree. The ring is the thing, but
Kansas City, either Kansas City or Tampa, one of them two teams.
Tampa has so many other things that they have so many free agents. They got to get Godwin, Fournette. Like there's so many pieces that they already have in place that I think they want to keep. Now, if Watt really wants 100% be like, I'll play for very, very little. Yeah, I think he wants a ring, but at the same time, he wants to get paid a little bit more than what an average player would get. So I just don't think Tampa has the money, and I don't think they need him, honestly. That defense didn't look like they needed him to win their championship. Very true. Green Bay, he would kind of change that whole defense in some ways. So for me, it really comes down to, again, he's from Wisconsin. I think that you can't, forget that. The Browns are an interesting choice also, but I think his leadership will bring a lot to that team because I think that's another thing you're thinking about here. he will command the defense. He will be a leader in that locker room. So if you're having issues with that in the locker room, that could be a huge thing.
Him and Myles Garrett working together. My God.
Oh my God. That'd be huge. Yeah. I don't put a lot of stock into Aaron Rodgers, in the coach LaFleur.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, Rodgers is hitting the field. I don't think he's going to go anywhere next. I mean, he might be gone in a year or two, but I think he will be there next year. And if you listen to Green Bay, they're like, we're never the way they're talking. They're like, would be crazy to get Aaron Rodgers away, and I agree with them. So Pittsburgh is interesting, like you said. Though Roethlisberger, is he 100% coming back next year? I don't think we know, right?
We don't know. He said he's structured his contract so that the Steelers can go out and get other players and pay them, so that they're not on the hook for his $41 million. I think is what it was, which is insane. Considering how he played the last few weeks. So so he adjusted it. So I think he is coming back. I just don't know what kind of Roethlisberger you're going to get back.
Yeah.
The other two teams that Ed Werder mentioned from ESPN were the Tennessee Titans and the Buffalo Bills. Now the Bills is
Bills will be interesting,
right? I mean, that guy could stand right into that defense with Josh Allen on the offense. That is two leaders that could take Buffalo to the next level and get them a title for the first time ever, a Super Bowl title for the first time ever. That would be a phenomenal achievement for him. What do you guys think?
Oh, that's a good. I mean, you forget about these teams. I'm sorry to cut you off, Josh. We forget about some of these others. We forget about the teams that went to the AFC Championship that were playing through. We forget about those teams that were just a little bit. Again, the biggest thing with Buffalo overall was the defense. That was the one thing everybody kept saying through the whole season. If Buffalo's defense was a little bit tighter and a little bit stronger, they could have taken it. We all kept saying that. Tennessee, it's like you're there, but you're not. Is it Watt the piece that takes them over the hump, or do they need a little more plus Watt? You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's not for certain. But J.J. Watt in Buffalo makes the Bills terrifying.
Yeah,
it makes them terror. It makes the AFC look. We already know now the Chiefs come back hungry because now they're the hunters after losing the Super Bowl. We know this. And again, everybody will pretty much be healthy. So we get it. This is going to be a devastating Chiefs team. But if we talk about that run-up, like we talked about all the time when it came to the Bills and the Chiefs before, the Bills and Chiefs, you would waver more towards the Bills if you get a J.J. Watt to strengthen and tighten up that defense.
Yeah.
And that's that leadership. It don't even have to just be his play. It's his understanding of the game from where he is as a leader per point of view.
Exactly. Teaching those young guys on that Buffalo defense. And also, JT, if they pick up a good running back or draft a good running back, that Buffalo team, if J.J. Watt comes over, all of a sudden becomes uber scary.
And the interesting about J.J. Watt, and I wonder if Tampa has shown a blueprint how to beat Kansas City. If you could get to Mahomes with your front four and just pull your safeties back, J.J. Watt would be a huge piece for a team that's going against Kansas City. You could be like, oh, we got J.J. Watt in the front line. Let's just rush four. Guard everybody who's running around. So I'm real curious to see if this blueprint works going forward against Kansas City, or if this is something that just happened in the Super Bowl and they weren't able to adjust to it in time, and maybe they'll figure it out in the beginning of next season. So to me, that's a real interesting piece. Buffalo would be scary. Of course, with J.J. Watt. I mean, they're scary without him. So I don't know. It's a tough call. But I agree. Green Bay, Buffalo, Titans, they ran so hot and cold this past season. I'd be a little worried about going there.
Right.
So to me, Buffalo and Green Bay would probably be the top two destinations if you really want to go for a ring.
I mean, and again, being from Wisconsin, you don't mind. Again, weather always plays a factor. We know this. You're from Wisconsin. Going to Buffalo wouldn't matter because, again, Buffalo cold is lower than this cold. Like Green Bay and Chicago cold is real. It gets cold. It gets cold in Buffalo, but in comparison, they're not the same. It's warmer in comparison in Buffalo. So it wouldn't be no issue.
Yeah. Well, Connor Pearson-Ward brings up an interesting point. Vrabel used to be the linebacker coach at Houston. So I could see J.J. Watt in Tennessee. Yeah, maybe. And Vrabel is, of course, one of the greatest linebackers for the New England Patriots. So having him kind of school J.J. Watt a little bit, or coach J.J. Watt a little bit on the tail end of his career into a ring possibly. Because remember, they got Derrick Henry. They had Tannehill throwing that ball around. If they bring in a scary defender like J.J. Watt, that makes the other offenses in the AFC super honest. And that is a better situation that you walk into than he would in Buffalo, even because they don't even have a running back. Where you'd have Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill on the other side of the ball to make sure the points are going to be put on the board. So this is an interesting situation as well. But yeah, we shall see. We shall see. It's a lot of possibilities. I don't think he goes to Pittsburgh. I think if he had won a ring already and was just like, you know what, I'm going to play out my last couple of years. I'll play with my brothers. Then that's fine. But I just don't see the point of going to Pittsburgh, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, just to play with your brothers. Like if you know this is the end of your career and you don't care about a ring, if you like it's a wrap, then yeah, you go play with your brothers just to do it.
Right.
But you're JJ Watt. You're a Hall of Famer, pretty much automatically cemented, no matter.
Right.
You just need that one last thing to solidify it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, and that's a ring.
Yep, absolutely. And Chris Taylor says Packers never go after free agents. Well, they went after Reggie White, and that brought them a ring. So
yeah, but how long? Let's not do that though.
I'm just saying you can't say never if there's a history of them doing.
Well, you say never when you look. Most people don't know how to look as far back because again, there's certain parts in history where we cut off. Not saying they don't happen, but no, I'm saying because like a certain part we don't think. Yeah, Reggie White, God knows how long ago. They've not gone out after the Packers have the build this team from within philosophy.
Yeah. Right. That's true. And it's it served them well. They've been in contention for a majority of the years that I remember since Favre. They've always been considered to be in contention for a possible Super Bowl berth out of the NFC, Favre into Rodgers. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I'll just say at the end of the day, if JJ Watt is calling, you're picking up the phone. Like if you just get a hint that he's interested, that there's a possibility he'll pay for you like at a discount, you're taking that call. So
absolutely,
there's no way they're not going to entertain the idea.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll keep tabs on it as we go along as well. We got one StreamLab that came in. Ladies and gentlemen, please send in your StreamLabs and Super Chats. Support the show here. This is how we keep the lights on and keep it coming every week from you all. Please. Gentleman_scientist said, how do you feel about all these older players taking less money to play for already good teams? It's like when Corey Dillon or Randy Moss went to New England. Kind of lame that already great teams get great players so easily. Seems unfair.
I hate that argument.
Go ahead, my man.
I hate that argument because it's how the game is. There's never been a rule that says you're not supposed to go to a better team to get a chip. The goal every time you get into pro sports is to win a world championship. Do what you can to win a chip. The only time that fell flat was when Karl Malone took his dumb ass to the Lakers and thought it was a guaranteed deal.
And Peyton.
And Gary Payton, they thought it was a guaranteed them getting rings. And guess what happened? They ended up like Charles fucking Barkley. Yep. But we've always, because even people argued about that when LeBron went to the Heat.
Yeah.
People argued that with LeBron. When KD ended up turning around and go to the Warriors. Right. We're going to always argue this. Should a good player go to a great team? Yeah, we understand there are a lot of people that don't have that same mentality and philosophy as those in the 70s and 80s. Again, when you had I go to the Celtics, I go to the Pistons, I go to the old school Bulls when they were just building teams to build, and Lakers when they were building teams to build championships. Football has always been that. It has always been, if you're a top tier player and the organization you're with doesn't respect you or appreciate you, we'll take you because you're what we need to get to the top. So you gotta let it be.
Yeah. There's a difference between elite player like Durant going to Golden State and like JJ Watt's situation where you have a few years left. You're not the MVP anymore. But you're still a better than average player. You're a great player, and those kind of players, they're mentally so in tune with the game that like it's not somebody you have to bring and be like, all right, I need to teach you this. Like variable teaching Watt, like I don't know how much he can teach him. I think Watt knows exactly what he needs to do. So he's just a piece that you put in the front line there. So for me, I'm a Patriots fan. I've been seeing it for years. When we got Randy Moss, a lot of people were saying he wasn't the old Randy Moss. And then you team him up with an elite quarterback, and all of a sudden he looked like the Moss of old. It doesn't always work out. Chad Ochocinco, Didn't really work out for the Patriots too much.
Real quick, Gary Payton did get a ring. I know that. I'm not talking. I know when Payton got his ring with Miami. I know, but I'm talking about when they all went to fucking the Lakers.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, "We don't get this ring," and Karl Malone is still sitting out here ringless.
Yeah. And Gary Payton is an afterthought on that Miami Heat team. Please, he wasn't essential to them winning the league. Let's tell truths.
Was it Lonzo Mourning on that team for a little bit?
Yeah, Lonzo.
If
Gonzo's on your team, playing back up, come on, now tell the truth.
It's kind of crazy.
Tell the truth.
So I just think I totally understand when a player spends so much time with the team and gives everything he has, and he's in his twilight years and is like, listen, the team's not in a position to win. Give me a chance to go out and get a ring.
Yep.
I think it's totally fine.
Yeah, I agree too. And also we bitch players out for taking money over loyalty. We bitch players out for going after the money instead of going to a team that works better for them. Now, when they don't, you can complain about it too. You can't have it both ways. Yeah. To me, I'm like, look, you don't know what it's like to be an NFL player. These guys are driven. A majority of them are driven to achieve excellence, to achieve rings, and they know that their shelf life is very short. Not a lot of people stay in the NFL for multiple years. Even we just had the Pouncey twins retire over the weekend at 31 years old. They said we're done with this chapter in our lives. Yeah. The NFL used to be where you ended up. Now it's just like a next step for the next thing. So that's changing. The mentality of being in the NFL is changing. So these players going to get their rings for less money means a lot to them to get that chip. It matters. So that's the difference there. No amount of money can cover a championship for sure, man. It means something. So you see that for sure. All right. And some people are mentioning JJ is to Washington. No way in hell. No way he'd go to Washington. I don't care how much Danny wants to pay him. There's no way he'd go to that. We don't even have a fucking quarterback, for God's sake. Before we move on to the next NFL news, we'd be remiss not to mention this. This broke as we were about to start the show. Sadly, ex-NFL wide receiver Vincent Jackson was found dead in Florida at age 38. The Hillsborough County, Florida Sheriff's Office said Monday it is investigating the death of Jackson. He was found approximately 11:30 a.m. On Monday morning at the Homewood Suites in Brandon, Florida. There's no apparent signs of trauma so far, and the ME has not determined the cause of death. Huh?
Know what that means? Suicide, more likely. More likely suicide.
God, I hope not. According to hotel staff, Jackson had been there since January 11th of 2021, had been staying in a room since that date. His family reported him missing on Wednesday, and a formal report was filed on Thursday. And so just a horrible, sad situation.
Wait, he'd been living at the hotel since when?
January 11th. So for over a month, he was living in that hotel, and they just reported him missing on Wednesday. So clearly there probably were some family issues. Maybe he needed a break, figure things out. The COVID situation kind of, it pushes people in interesting ways, especially in Florida, where they're like, you don't have to wear a mask to do anything. Just walk around with it, whatever. You never know what the situation was here. And of course, Jay, you mentioned suicide. That's certainly a possibility here with the CTE situation. He was 38 years old. I remember him playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a lot of his years, but also 7 seasons with the Chargers. He was incredible for the Chargers as well. JT, your reaction here?
Yeah, I remember him mainly from San Diego. I just didn't follow Tampa as much, but like being in LA, and he was an explosive player. He was a great player. Him and the quarterback for San Diego, Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers, man. It's just sad. I'm curious to hear some more about what happened, but it's one of those players. As soon as I read it, I was just like immediately started thinking about San Diego and some of the plays I used to watch him play, and it's just sad, man.
Yeah,
I'm curious to hear what happened.
Yep. Jay, is that what you suspect? What you said earlier?
I mean, when you're listening to it, listen to everything you said. You start going off that he's living in a hotel since January 11th. Family hasn't heard from him. They don't see any injuries, things like that, any like blunt force. So what they're saying is foul play isn't suspected. Yeah. They give you unfortunately, anytime you hear these stories, there's always clues to somebody committed suicide when they found him. And this is going to be one of the cases. This is going to unfortunately bring up another CTE discussion. God. Because also the thing is, if they find it, but again, because and I don't want to spend too long on it, because we do talk about when a lot of football players commit suicide, it's CTE and things they've been through in the brain trauma. However, we have to take into consideration also personal lives play a factor.
Yeah.
it may not just be, again, Junior Seau shot himself in the chest so they could study his brain. He knew something was wrong. But in many instances, you hear suicide because you hear people who just can't take it no more. And like you said, you're in Florida. Granted, that shit is wild.
Yeah.
It's but it could be worse. It could be Georgia, because Georgia is the Wild West right now.
Right.
But you have that, but again, not just the pandemic, the struggles of personal life. Again, where everybody thinks when a player leaves the league, they are completely set for life, whether it be financially, emotionally, physically, whatever. Those aren't the cases.
Yeah. It's a great point for sure. Well, we, our thoughts and our prayers go out to his family, and we hope that isn't what ends up being the decision here, or ends up being what they discover. But whatever it is, it's sad to lose him at such a young age, 38. My God, it's a terrible situation. But certainly, as you said, JT, a lot of memories from his time with San Diego and his time with Tampa Bay for sure. Ironically, in the same year the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the Super Bowl, one of their notable players passes away, sadly, surprisingly. So we'll find out, I'm sure, as we go along. All right, just reminders, please send in your StreamLabs and Super Chats if you'd like as we go along through this show here. Our next story we're going to jump into now is another story of a little bit of a unsettled situation, kind of like what we're hearing, what we mentioned with the Deshaun Watson situation. Russell Wilson out of nowhere. JT, talk to me about what's happening here. Apparently, what we've got is all things are fluid in this situation. Could Russell Wilson leave the Seahawks? Apparently, his team has made it clear that he doesn't like that he's getting hit so much. The Seahawks are mad that his team is out there. So please take it away, man.
Yeah. To me, this is, when I read this, I agree with you, Rocha. It was kind of out of nowhere. I was like, where did this come from? I see this as like a relationship. The couple are just having a little spat. I don't see it as,
you don't think there's fire.
I don't think there's a fire. I don't think Russell Wilson, he was in early talks for MVP at the beginning of last season.
Yes,
there has been, his skills have not diminished. He's still an elite quarterback. They would be insane to get rid of him. Listen, a quarterback, he might get a little frustrated. He's going to say something. The organization, they're not just going to sit there and ignore it. They got to, be the parent and be like, we're not really happy with what you said. But I think at the end of the day, I don't know where Russell Wilson would want to go. And I don't think the Seahawks want to see him go anywhere. Pete Carroll is still the coach. I think they have a great relationship. So to me, this is just a little spat. It's a little argument in a relationship. By the time the season begins, this will be gone. I don't think he's going anywhere. They would be insane to get rid of him.
Yeah.
I really don't have much else to say, because I think maybe the media just blew it out of proportion a little bit. They will take a thread and turn it into a rope if they think it'll hit some. They're just like, oh my God, Wilson's going somewhere. No. They just, they could have even Brady back in the day. Yes, he eventually left, but even there would always be reports of like, is Belichick and Brady not getting along? Is, Aaron Rodgers, I'm sure, his good culture don't see eye to eye, but at the end of the day, they would be insane to let Russell Wilson leave.
Russell don't want to get hit.
Yeah.
He is a pretty boy with a curly hair. He just don't want to get hit. He want to be able to 1-2 step with his fine ass wife. I don't want to get hit.
Near to Mahomes.
Right. And Mahomes was like, bro, State Farm can't cover these knees no more. Stop. Like, what's the big? I mean, I don't. Again, I agree with you, Josh. I think media is blowing it out of proportion. Oh my God, is there Russell? Russell just don't want to get hit.
Yeah.
Like, look, I'm getting hit. Y'all just found out one of the fucking players is a serial abuser.
Oh yeah.
Like, can we get shit together? Like, that's all it is.
Yeah. I don't count it. I hear what you're saying, Josh, but I don't count anything out nowadays in the NFL. I mean, people have acted so weirdly over the last few years with their careers, with their lives, with the places they chose to go. I mean, who the fuck predicted Tom Brady in Tampa Bay a little over a year ago? I mean, it's just like insane to consider the possibility.
Some bookie with inside knowledge.
Probably maybe Giselle's brother or something, but like you have no idea what's going to happen. Maybe Russell is tired of them coming so close and not getting there. Maybe he's pissed off that Pete Carroll, he's still pissed off that Pete Carroll called a pass play rather than a handoff and cost him a second ring. There's all kinds of residue. You know, athletes, nobody holds on to grudges better than athletes against their coaches or against their players or against themselves or against other teams. So maybe Russell's looking at the situation going, I want to be in a better situation where I don't have to do all the work.
I'll say this
will have to be the thing that carries this team. Yeah.
But I think it's basically just your way of telling your boss you want something fixed without going to your boss. Like, he has Metcalf there. That dude is a stud. He's early in his career. The offense looks good. I mean, they need a better offensive line, but that's something I think it was just a way for him to be like, I would like a better offensive line. I'd like this to be improved. Because if you don't say it publicly, sometimes maybe they're not listening to him as much behind closed doors. You throw it out there publicly, you get the fan base behind you, and it puts a little more attention to it.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson is an elite quarterback. Nothing is more important in the NFL than a quarterback. I think that has been proven for the last few years.
Oh, yeah.
And if you let go of Russell Wilson, if you even entertain the idea, you're insane.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
You're gonna have to do some.
Hey,
incredible...
come over, Russell Wilson. Come on over to New England. I'll take you right now.
I wouldn't even. I'm gonna tell you something. Look, he had to convince Sierra to go from Atlanta, Georgia, to rainy ass Seattle. Yeah, she is not going to New England.
No, probably
she is not going to New England.
Yeah, I'm saying, I just imagine if he was available on the market, like if they made him available.
Oh my!
Every team outside of like Rodgers, some of these guys who have like all-stars are going to be knocking on the door.
Yeah, I would like to say that
Chicago would like him.
No, I'd like to add on more to that. Let there be an announcement that Russell Wilson wanted to go. The city of Chicago would have started a GoFundMe to get him here.
Get him there. Yeah.
We'd have been like, we know they're going to fuck this up in office. How much we need to raise? $35 million in a bit, all type of PSA commercials. Dear Chicago, I'm Chris Zorich. Chris Zorich?
It's true. I mean, looking at Wilson's contract, remember he signed that massive contract just a couple of years ago, that extension. Next year, it's only $19 million in 2021 for him as a quarterback, but a trade before June 1st would result in the Seahawks carrying a $39 million cap charge in 2021. And then after June 1st, they traded him, a trade would trigger $13 million in 2021 and then $26 million in 2022. So either way, they're on the hook for that $39 million. Either way they go, unless they find some kind of deal here with the team if they make the trade. But I agree with you both. Like, you'd be insane to trade Russell Wilson at this point. And if you don't have anyone remotely close to him to back up, to step into the situation, to lead the team.
Who's the backup there? I don't even know who the backup is.
It's like TJ Yates or somebody. It's it's like nobody who's the backup for him. So you would really be fucking over your team hardcore if you were to allow that to happen. But like I said, I never put anything past the NFL, and certainly I never put anything past Pete Carroll, who's a bit crazy half the time when he does stuff. One of the other crazier stories that came out connected to this is that according to CBS Sports, Jason LaConfora, who was on the B. Mitch and Finley show, that's Brian Mitchell and Finley show on 106.7 The Fan on Friday afternoon, he said that Ron Rivera of the Washington football team is keeping tabs on this situation with Russell Wilson. He says it's more than chatter. There's possibly something brewing there between the two teams. Not as Deshaun Watson loves it. It may be amendable. There may be some way to keep that thing together, but people are monitoring that, and Washington is certainly doing it. Now, it may be that Ron Rivera is monitoring this because if another team, say the Las Vegas Raiders, starts sniffing around Russell, that means Carr is available and Ron could go in there and grab Carr. So maybe he's not angling for Russell, but this could unsettle some things, and the Washington football team can find themselves with a damn good quarterback just when they need one. So
I won't argue with that. Let me tell you something. If you told me the game plan was to have, if Ron Rivera is playing the long game to say, I'm watching this Russell Wilson because if Vegas takes him, even though Gruden ain't gonna know what the fuck to do with him.
True.
Let's be real. If you are a Raiders fan and you like, hell yeah, I want Russell Wilson to come to Vegas, you need to look at your coach and be like, oh, well, I want to preserve him. Because then, like you said, Derek Carr is gone. They go to the football team who all of a sudden started playing with their soul at the end of the second half of the season.
True, we did.
When they started playing with heart and soul the second half of the season, next thing you know, you're like, the Washington football team is going to the what? To the NFC Championship possibly Excuse me?
I mean, with that
I'm convinced
defense and
Rocha.
Russell,
I'm convinced Rocha, you made this story up just to get it out there. You want Wilson on? I don't blame you. I'd do whatever I could to get Wilson on my team too.
Yeah,
This is ridiculous.
You put this out in the ether, Rocha.
Yeah, I mean,
damn it.
How happy would you be?
I mean, immediately we're in the conversation for NFC Championship consideration. With that defense and Russell leading our offense, our running back is fantastic. We've got one good receiver. We can attract a couple of free agent receivers who are going on the market. Anything could happen at that point. So I think that'd be a great situation. Plus, our O-line is damn good. They protected Alex Smith for a majority of him coming back from that injury when he came back. You know, it wasn't our fault. Haskins was not the right fit. So I just wonder if that's a possibility, but you know, it's a far reaching possibility. We'll see what happens. And apparently Alex Smith is not going to come back to the Washington football team. He is going to look for pastures elsewhere. So
so y'all gonna keep your manga quarterback. All right.
We re-signed him to 2 years, man.
Y'all better keep little manga. I got you. All right. Go ahead. Washington.
Come on now. Ciara would be great on the Washington thick. Come on now. Let's see. All right, let's move on to our next story here. I don't see any. Do I see any Streamlabs? All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's the deal? Send in some love here. Send in some Streamlabs and Super Chats. Give the show some love. What the fuck? You're enjoying it, aren't you? Got over 170 y'all watching us right now. Please hit that like button, but send in your Streamlabs Super Chats. You know, we'll talk about anything you want to talk about in the world of sports. All right. Let's move on to Urban Meyer messing some shit up already down there in Jacksonville with the Jaguars. This was reported over the weekend. Chris Doyle, who had been hired by Urban Meyer against a lot of people's wishes, a lot of people in the community, a lot of people in the NFL. He hired Chris Doyle. For those of you who may not know, Chris Doyle was a coach over there with Iowa. He was a strength coach over there, and his Hawkeye players had accused him of allegedly racist comments, and negative experiences while they were with the program. One player accused Doyle of stepping on players' fingers during workouts, and an incident in which 13 players were hospitalized with rhabdomyolysis also came to light. Eventually, Doyle left Iowa. They paid him $1 million as part of the contract for him to leave. And then when Urban Meyer hired him, there was a huge uproar. It lasted for 35 hours, and then he stepped aside. He stepped down from being a director of sports performance for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Urban Meyer released a statement saying, Chris Doyle came to us this evening to submit his resignation, and we have accepted. Chris did not want to be a distraction to what we are building in Jacksonville. Now, you throw this into the mix, and then you don't forget Urban Meyer and all the shit he pulled, where he had that assistant coach of his who was involved with beating his wife, and he had known for a number of years that this was happening. Then you throw in Aaron Hernandez and all those Florida players that were getting in trouble under his watch. I mean, JT, is he already messing shit up here and like putting bad mojo all over the Jaguars? He hasn't even coached a play.
Yeah, I don't really follow college too much, but obviously when someone like Urban Meyer, you're gonna know about him. You're gonna know his accomplishments. Him going to Jacksonville, I thought was interesting. It's always interesting whenever one of these coaches tries to make the jump into NFL. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And Urban Meyer, he's like kind of the GOAT of college football. Am I correct? Would you say he's like the coach?
No. Nick Saban is the GOAT.
Saban is.
Urban is one of those right below. The Prince
I get. Those two are they would be in the Mount Rushmore probably.
Sure.
So for me, it's just about what I read some articles about this. It's the fact that no one else was really even considered for the job. Yeah. And that this is what happens. A lot of people tell the NFL, like, instead of people getting the right position that are qualified for it, it becomes like a best friend club. Like, I'm just going to bring this guy in because I know him. I'm not going to, interview anybody else, and they ignore some of the terrible things. I had to read about this guy. I didn't know who this guy was until I read about his stuff. I was like, this guy just sounds like a horrible person. Why would you want to? You're not going to do that in NFL. You ain't stepping on nobody's finger. These are
grown-ass man.
These are grown-ass men. Yeah. You are not going to be doing that in the NFL. So, like, I don't know how well he would have done. Again, I think it's just a case that Urban Meyer wanted to bring his friend and ignoring the toxic things that he did in the past. And I think you can't do that in NFL. Maybe it'll work in college, but NFL, you're on everybody's radar. Yeah. So I'm glad people protested it, and I'm glad. I wish they would have just got rid of him instead of him resigning.
Yeah.
I wish they would have just put their foot down and been like, the Jaguars ain't gonna accept this.
But see, Josh, let's just I like your nice response.
Yeah,
I like your.
I'm just telling you.
I like the beautiful response. The real shit is, we've known a good old boys club, white privilege, all this shit when it comes to coaching in the NFL is a thing.
It's a problem.
Is a dude like that should have never even been fucking considered.
That's a fair point.
He should have never been considered. Yeah. But let's forget the fact that he got in the door. When you look at talking about something, he's been vetted. No, he wasn't. Because if he was vetted, he doesn't get in the door.
Right. Well, that's what Meyer said. He was vetted thoroughly. Says he's known Chris for close to 20 years, that he was with him since his time at Utah. And he was the number one strength coach, and he was really doing sports performance before sports performance became a priority. I've studied him. We've had a relationship. But this is the same shit, Jay, he trotted out to defend Zach Smith. When Zach Smith was his assistant coach, who had been beating his wife, his own wife, Urban Meyer's wife, had been speaking to Zach Smith's wife about these beatings. So it's like, this guy is willing to excuse anything if you help him win on the football field. And that's a disgusting energy to bring to the Jacksonville Jaguars right off the bat, Jay.
Right, you're sitting there. We do. You're stepping on people's fingers, and you think he's a good dude. Not just pinching a finger. He is putting his feet on their hands.
Yeah.
Who thinks that is a good person to coach anything? Not even anybody. Oh yeah, we got him coaching Rock'em Sock'em Robots. I don't even want him coaching those.
Yeah, and it was the Fritz Pollard Alliance who stepped forward, which is a group of NFL scouts, coaches, and front office personnel, quote, committed to equal opportunity in the industry. They blasted the hires, called it unacceptable and reflective of the good old boy network that plagues league's coaching ranks. This is actually a very, very good point, because remember, and it's coming out now. And Jay, I go back to you on this one because me and you, we both follow professional wrestling. You know, Khan is the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. His son is the owner of the AEW. But here is a situation here where it was very clear, it was reported in a number of locations. They went to Urban Meyer first and said, the job is yours if you want it. Then they backtracked and interviewed black coaches like Bieniemy and people of color coaches like Salah, who went to the Jets. To make it look as if they were adhering to the Rooney Rule. That kind of bullshit, like I'm just saying, it just screams wrong. And Khan is a man of color. So it's like it's even doubly more wrong that you are willing to go this route. And why isn't the NFL, why isn't Goodell, who claims to be all about wanting to enforce the Rooney Rule, why aren't they stepping in to like demand text messages, demand phone records, like start looking, investigate it, and then go after these owners who are doing this bullshit?
Wait, did you really?
I'm just saying.
Did you really say, why isn't Goodell doing that?
Yeah, I am.
Oh my God, you're so cute. You really just said, why isn't Roger Goodell, the dude who all of a sudden acts like he gives a fuck about racial equality, never once mentioned Colin Kaepernick's name? Why is Roger Goodell?
I'm just saying, if you're going to come out and say you've learned a lesson and you've turned the page, you're going to show up in black communities like you did last year, right? For optics, you got to back it up with actions. And this situation needs to be dealt with more harshly by Goodell. And I know the owners pay a salary, but it's the appearance of it all, right? How much longer can we keep lying to ourselves about what the NFL is doing, or have them keep foisting that lie upon us? It's frustrating. You know? What do you think?
I think, it's the old guard a little bit. We need to get some of these old owners out of there, get some younger owners who aren't, we are talking about rich, old white men who own these teams. And I think it starts at the top. I think Goodell can only do so much. It really starts at the top. Now, there are good owners out there. The Pittsburgh Steelers owner, Rooney, has been known for having a very diverse crew, coaches, everything like that. Also, the Patriots were the first team to ever have an African-American GM.
Yeah.
Those are just things that were steps. But again, I'm hoping like African-American quarterbacks 20 years ago were very rare. And now you got Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, you got all these great quarterbacks, Russell Wilson. I think these old rich white men are eventually going to fade out to the degree where hopefully, and this is just a hope, hopefully there will be a more diverse coaching, because it's kind of embarrassing if you're NFL and you see this happen every year.
It's a mind-blowing thing, right? Look at Tom Flores. Tom Flores, I think he finally just got into the Hall of Fame, but this was a Latino coach who won 2 fucking Super Bowls, and they wouldn't even consider him.
And he wouldn't have won if it wasn't for that course. If it wasn't for that course, he was not. I don't care what anybody says. Tom Flores was not going to go into the Hall of Fame if it were not for that commercial. Yeah. If Coors Light didn't push that, he wasn't going.
Yeah, you're 1,000% right. That's the way that's been incredible about Tom Flores. Look, I hated him because he beat my Redskins to a bloody pulp in that Super Bowl. My Redskins at the time, that watched football team now, but he beat him to a bloody pulp. And as a young kid, that destroyed me. I cried all day that day. It was such a terrible beating, and I've hated. But like, you can't deny, as you get older, you can't deny the man's ability to coach. I mean, it's rare. Ron Rivera is like the only other Latino head coach that I can think of outside of Tom Flores that has led a team to a Super Bowl, and certainly did it with the Panthers. And Flores did it twice and won, whereas Rivera didn't. So it's ridiculous to me. The issue they have with people of color in the NFL, this has to stop once and for all. And having a white commissioner doesn't help. And I wonder if the moment is coming where enough of a groundswell comes in, if the numbers start to drop, if the attendance starts to drop, if people start to not having their kids play. Remember, it only takes 10% of moms not to have their kids play. If they start looking at hiring a black commissioner in the NFL, or at least a Latino commissioner of the NFL, to adjust and address some of these issues.
Let me just be real with you, because we gotta be honest here.
Well, we are.
No, the thing is, you think that you're gonna have kids stop playing these sports when it's the only thing to keep them from getting in trouble in a lot of these neighborhoods. Unfortunately, that's just not gonna happen.
That's fair. That's fair.
I understand believe me, as a black father to a son who plays football, who knows his son has potential to go to the league, I would love if the league was more inclusive, as it says, in about everything.
Yeah.
Yes, over 70% of the players are black. We know that. Black people are just great fucking athletes, whether you want to admit it or not. But it's when you see the higher up in the structures that it's not going to change, because they don't want it to change.
Well, I wonder, and McNair, we mentioned him earlier with the Texans. Certainly somebody who had said, like, the inmates are running the asylum when all that stuff was going down with Kaepernick. That's a dangerous situation. So, yeah, you wonder if these are these examples that just start to pile on, and then eventually the dam breaks and changes are made. We shall see. But I just think it's bad juju for Urban Meyer. And now let's move on to our next story, because it's connected to Trevor Lawrence having himself a great pro day. Do you want Trevor Lawrence stepping into this situation with Urban Meyer and all the bad karma for him? I wonder about that. I mean, he's got no choice if they draft him, for God's sakes. But at least he showed up and showed out in this pro day. But isn't this a lot to put on a kid, to have him walk into a possibly toxic situation like this and try to make the best of it? What do you think there, JT?
I mean, yeah, Trevor Lawrence doesn't have a choice. He's going number one. He's going to Jacksonville. I'm sure knowing if I was him, I would just try to concentrate on the football.
Yeah.
I'm sure, when it comes down to it, he can't control any of those things. Like Urban Meyer, hopefully he'll be a great coach in NFL. Who knows? Maybe he won't. We've seen it happen before. For me, if I'm Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to a team. I'm going to be the number one pick. All you can do is control what you do, your preparation, your gameplay. So I don't know I can't even imagine what it's like to be in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's keeping an eye on it, because that is the team you're 99% chance you're going to. I don't know any situation in which Jacksonville trades that away or doesn't pick him. So if I'm him, I'm just saying I'm only going to do what I can control. Yeah. Go out and be the best player.
He can say no. He can say no.
Can he say no?
Eli Manning did. Eli Manning,
you can literally say no.
Yeah.
You can say no.
Right.
You can be number one traded. You can be number one. You can be picked no matter when.
Elway,
you can say no.
Yeah.
But then are you still guaranteed as much money?
I don't think, if you're Trevor Lawrence, he's highly touted.
Yeah.
If you're touted as much as Trevor Lawrence is, you're going to get that money. What you see, people look, the two of you guys know this. You might not get that money in your NFL contract, but your endorsement's gonna come through and make all that money for you. If I'm Trevor Lawrence and I want to sit in a team where everyone's like, well, there's a possibility you want to play and show you got game, and if you keep losing, people don't sit there and say you're a bust.
Yeah.
Or say, well, the Jacksonville Jaguars keep losing, but Trevor Lawrence, he okay. It doesn't sound right either way. Because Trevor Lawrence is one of those people who's going to put the team on his back. Yeah. So because he decides to do that, then when the team falls, you fall. Okay, man, if I'm Trevor Lawrence, they'd be like, was the number one pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars go to – I'm going to stop you real quick when you say this name. And it'd be Trevor Lawrence walking up like, it's supposed to be me. Yeah. However, I don't like you, motherfuckers.
How often does that happen, though? How often does that happen?
It's very rare. It's rare.
Very rare.
It does happen, but it's rare. You're right about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
You could argue that he kind of got training under a toxic environment over at Clemson. Dabo Swinney couldn't keep his mouth shut all year about a number of issues and then got his butt whooped in the semifinals by Ohio State after they were motivated by him calling them the 11th best team in the country. So he has clearly been able to navigate waters with a vociferous, attention-seeking coach like Dabo Swinney. So maybe he might be better prepared to step into this situation, having experienced that and won titles for those Clemson Tigers. We shall see. Apparently, he played really, really well in his pro day, through approximately 40 passes, mostly from under center. Number of teams were there to watch him, or obviously representatives of teams are there to watch him. But he's also scheduled to undergo to a surgery to repair damage to the labrum in his left non-throwing shoulder, and he wanted to be completely cleared before training camps open in July. He's going to start to throw in 6 to 8 weeks after the surgery, and then fully cleared in 4 to 5 months. So we shall see.
It's not his throwing shoulder, so he good.
Yeah, possibly. You never know in this world. You never know. All right, we shall see. Let me see if I've got any StreamLabs or Super Chat. See if any people were kind to send us anything. Hello, yes. F James 72 says, I love this show. Thank you, F James. I appreciate it. Gentleman _ scientist sending another StreamLabs. Said, diversity in sports starts at the top. How many majority owners are people of color? Exactly. It seems only 1 or 2 in all major sports in the U.S., not just the NFL. Where are the owners of color in all of this? That's a fair point. But when you've got an owner of color like Khan hiring a white dude before he interviews, it doesn't help the situation either, does it?
But also, you got to. I'll say this as a person of color. Fuck all that. I'll say this as a black guy.
Say it.
When you have a person who's a person of color, just because they're a person of color don't mean they finna look out for people of color. Let's call it a buck, because you have the Candace Owens and the Ben Carsons of the world. You have those. So let's not just say that, let's not just say that, oh, they're a person of color. Right. They're going to look out for making sure a person of color gets this job, and especially when it comes to money having, because also you've got to be looked at as having their type of money.
Yeah.
You can't just, you can have money, but you got to be looked at as having their type of money, to the point where you don't need a group of investors to buy a team. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you had, let's say, for instance, Jay-Z had the money solo to be a team owner, then it would be a different story. Not be an investor or a partner in the thing. You have to be a solo owner. Now a Tyler Perry, God forbid, I would hate to see the Medias on the NFL team, but
all the cheerleaders dressed like Medea.
Hello.
Touched her. Jordan Freeman says the best. All skin folk ain't kin folk. That's well said.
That's the realest thing. But I'm telling you, some black people will say that, especially from the South. All skin folk ain't kin folk.
Goes both ways. Latinos. It's why I just briefly watched I just recently watched the 30 for 30, the new one, Al Davis versus the NFL. Can't recommend it enough. So fucking good.
I turned on it last night, but it was like I missed the beginning.
But
I recorded it, so I'm looking forward to watching it. It was good, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so weird. They use CGI versions of Rozelle and Davis to talk about themselves and argue with themselves on camera. It's such an interesting approach to a documentary.
That is terrifying.
It's interesting, and they show them, of course, old footage of them talking, and because it's all about the battles the Raiders had with the NFL. But the thing that turned me around on the Raiders, kind of crazy, because like I said, I used to hate the team. Seeing their record of hiring minorities, putting people in position from the 60s. Tom Flores not only was the first Latino coach to win Super Bowl, he was also the first Latino quarterback in the NFL for the Raiders in 1960. So you've got that Art Shell coming in there. They have a history of doing these things. So when you watch this documentary, can't recommend it enough. it's a fascinating history lesson about the journey the NFL and Al Davis went on to see how this whole thing is happening now, where teams are moving to different cities, and how he kind of opened the door to it. So I can't recommend it enough. But yeah, I'm turning around on the Raiders more and more as I see their history with people.
First of all, have you not seen the team and their fan base? You have to.
Oh, it's true. It's true.
You gotta look. Let me tell you something. I first moved out to LA and I saw a bunch of Latino Raider fans that were after a game, and I was doing a stand-up show. I was like, I am scared. So, because I think the Raiders had lost, and I was like, fuck my life. But you want to have, if you're smart as an owner, you want to have your team be representative of that community. Yeah. And you saw what the Raiders community was, what that Raiders fan base was. So yeah, of course, you may get a white coach who is the best coach for the job. Absolutely. So if you can't help at the time when you're filling that head coaching position, make sure the rest around them are those of color, because there are numerous qualified people out here. Again, we keep trying to say with Eric Bieniemy that he may be holding out just to get the job from Andy Reid. If that's not the case, and all these coaches are screwing dude. All these teams, are screwing dude.
I will see.
And there's that great 30 for 30 Ice Cube directed about the Raiders too.
Yeah, that was
I thought Snoop was on it. I thought that was great.
You know, I just rewatched last week, 2 weeks ago, the Lakers Celtics one with Wahlberg narrating for the Celtics and Ice Cube narrating for the Lakers. That shit was fucking excellent.
Fantastic.
Ranger Donald, one, this is to you, JT. Any thoughts on Brady having surgery on his left knee during this offseason, which he apparently was dealing with an injury for most of the season? What now?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Brady's not a mobile quarterback. He's going to throw the ball away. All he has to do is shuffle from left to right, back and forward a little bit.
Yeah.
So he's going to, he'll lay down before he gets laid out. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. He's not Mahomes. He ain't run 500 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Tell you something. Tom Brady. Speaking of Tom Brady, can we talk about this real quick? The Lombardi Trophy creator's daughter, this Karen, who was
What's he talking about?
For those who haven't seen the video, there's a video during the Bucs celebration. Tom Brady has the Lombardi Trophy on one boat and tosses it to some of the players on the other boat. Yeah. This Karen, I couldn't sleep for 2 nights because of this. It was so disrespectful. My father put so much work into it. Bitch, shut up. They'd have the unmitigated gall to say, Tom Brady owes me an apology.
Yeah.
Me, not my daddy. Me. Yeah. Bitch, if you don't go have several dates.
Where was she when Gronk put a baseball size debt in one 2 years ago? And when they're in Boston, it still has a huge debt in it. Like, why didn't she say anything then? I don't know. I think it's Brady is like, dude, this is my 7th. Like, what do I care?
To him, it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. I got the ring. That's all.
See, this is the toss. This is the exact toss. This is the toss. Again, also, if it goes in the water, they are going to save it. Yeah. If it gets damaged, they are going to fix it. But to say Tom Brady owes me an apology, white women must be stopped.
Also, why is she worried?
Easy now. Easy.
Why is she worried? If Tom Brady's starting anything the size of a football, I'm not worried.
I'm not. That's the last thing I'm worried about.
That's the one guy I would have throw that football statue would be Tom Brady. Come on, man.
Tom Brady is throwing a football. Yeah, but it's a medal. Tom Brady is throwing a football.
That's what are you worried about? Come on.
Exactly. Whatever with her and her issues. All right, let's see if we got any more StreamLabs Super Chats. No, okay. Keep sending them in, folks. We got another hour left in the show. Let us know what you want to talk about, what issues you've got going on in your world. Let's jump into the NBA now. One of the big reasons I asked JT to come on to the show for a little while here is because of his knowledge of the NBA. Let's start with this. Actually, let's start with a story that's breaking that wasn't on the rundown. Just saw it on ESPN as we're doing this. Apparently, Blake Griffin is going to sit while the Detroit Pistons way trade and buyout options for the former NBA All-Star. Remember, Griffin was traded to the Pistons from the Clippers a few years ago. He is owed $36.6 million this season.
How much?
36.6.
Oh,
wait, I'm not even done. 39 million next season. And they're looking to strike a deal before March 25th, which is the trade deadline. They are under a full-fledged rebuild under Detroit. If I'm Blake Griffin, I wouldn't want to be part of this situation.
They just got rid of Derrick Rose and sent his ass back to the Knicks.
He went to the Knicks,
But this is not the Blake Griffin that we had before. No. Like JJ Watt, at least this year, played all 16 games. He was ranked 15th out of all pass rushers. That's still relatively close to the top. Blake right now is averaging just 12.3 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 3.9 assists. That's it. So this is, remember, he was traded less than a season into his 5-year, $171 million max deal with the Clippers. He basically did nothing for the Pistons. So JT, NBA expert, where does he go, and what do you see happening in this situation with that much money on the line?
Yeah, NBA expert. I don't know about that, but first of all, his agent, he should be high-fiving that agent, sending him Christmas turkeys. Absolutely. What an amazing deal. Here's the thing. Blake Griffin, even when he was with the Clippers, he was just a dunk machine. He was a force of nature that would just go inside and dominate. Since all the injuries he has, he's just a shell of what he used to be. Now he's done what a lot of NBA veterans do, is he has changed from being a physical presence to using all the skills and the mental makeup of what a veteran can do. Like same thing with Rose. Even though he went to New York, I don't think that's a horrible trade. I think he can do a little bit over there. But now those two players, they're relying on their knowledge of the game than they are their athletic abilities really at this point. I think I don't know where he's gonna go. I don't know who is looking for a Blake Griffin, a broken down Blake Griffin, and could he be somebody off the bench that could be a solid role player? I think sure in the right situation, but that money is insane. I feel bad for Clippers, but they were paying for what he was at the moment, not what he would have been in a couple of years. So who knows? I don't see I don't see him going to another team and becoming the Blake Griffin old. I think his body is just too beat down. He's had too many injuries. The explosiveness isn't there anymore. But he could be a solid veteran that comes off the bench and isn't going to lose the game for you. He ain't going to win the game, but he ain't going to lose the game either.
I'm telling you where Blake Griffin is going.
Tell me.
Blake Griffin is going to Universal Studios Lot B and film a TV show or some shit.
Yeah, do some commercials.
Blake Griffin has been doing stand-up, all this other shit. If you think you're not going to see Blake Griffin acting regularly in sitcoms and whatnot, look, again, we talk about high five his agent. That's that NBA contract. That's their union that solidified these mobs can get this dumb money for not being worth it. Let's just be honest. Blake Griffin is a shell of his former self. And to say, look, we're Detroit. Have you seen your own city? And you owe him $36 million. You better make him build You better make him rebuild every home on the goddamn street.
Well, that's how you. Yeah, and Jay, I think it was Van Gundy who swung the deal at the time, and Van Gundy's not even the coach anymore. It's crazy, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, you could take. I mean, if you're gonna take him to a team, the problem is you have to have coaches and front offices think like this. Are we bringing in Blake Griffin the name or Blake Griffin the player?
Right.
Because a lot of teams keep doing that, like, with a certain name, we get an attraction value behind it.
Right.
But then we got the player that's not worth it. And I'm not saying that Blake Griffin is trash. No. He's just not what he used to be, what we knew him to be.
Yeah.
He's a solid player. I mean, he's still a solid player. I think in the right situation coming off the bench, I would happily listen. I'm a Celtics fan. If you want to come to Celtics at a cheap price and want to come off the bench and help us, give us a little size, I would totally be down for that. I wouldn't be like, no, get this guy off my team. I would totally take him on the Celtics right now. Yeah. But that money that you mentioned, like he's riding off that contract where he was an all-star. Yeah. And he is nowhere close to that anymore.
I think that's Lakers money, to be honest with you. And in my mind, that's a possibility. I mean, if the Lakers have that money to spend, which obviously they don't with the trade, like because you have to trade for him. So they don't have that cap space. and they don't have players, I think, that would be worth it to trade. That's the thing. I don't know how they're going to swing this unless Detroit gobbles up a majority of that salary just to get him out of there, which is what they're probably going to end up having to do, because there's no team that's looking to trade like a crap ton of their players for a 12.3 points a game Blake Griffin. It just
I know where he goes. I bet you I know where he goes.
Where's that?
Phoenix.
The Phoenix would be a great fit for him, but they don't have that cap space or money. But I like the idea.
I mean, look, Blake, listen, we've studied your x-rays. We know what your body can do. Mm-hmm. You want to go sit down here with Chris Paul's ass? Like, at least you'll be a starter. At least you'll be a starter. Go down there. Because, like, you going to...
Oh, my God. Reuniting him with Chris Paul? I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Oh, yeah, that is true. That is an explosive... Yeah, my bad. I almost destroyed the city of Phoenix. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Monty's doing fine with the TVS. He does not want to throw Blake in with Chris Paul. Sean Wingblade said, bring him to Sacramento. I got a spare bedroom, but I'm charging.
It's probably going to... He's going to end up going to a team who's not very good. And will just do it for, like Jay said, they're just doing it for the name. It's not going to be like, we need this player to bring us to the playoffs. It's going to be, hey, we have Blake Griffin. They'll sell a few more tickets off, his popularity, which Detroit, I don't know, man. Like Detroit just doesn't make a lot of noise on ESPN or too many, channels. So I don't know what he's not going to bring a lot of noise to wherever he goes, but he'll be a name to put in the marquee, I guess.
Not since the Richard Hamilton days has Detroit.
Rip Hamilton, UConn.
Yeah, exactly.
First of all, I don't know. When was the last time anybody actually said the words Richard Hamilton, Rocha? God damn.
2005.
Nobody. Everybody just been Rip. He's like, since the days of Richard Hamilton.
Listen, let me tell you something. Before he was Rip, he was a Washington Wizard, and he was Richard Hamilton, and we treated him with respect. And then we handed the Detroit Pistons essentially a title because we also gave them Ben Wallace. Oh, that was just drove me.
That was a great Detroit team, man.
It was.
And that was what we ended up thinking we got, because we got Ben Wallace. We was like, yes! And then he came in and we was like, the fuck?
Like,
another person, as we're talking about this right now as well, Andre Drummond is apparently sitting now for the Cavaliers. A lot of talk about where he might be going.
He's good
as well. He is good.
He's somebody you get for name and play.
Yeah.
What do you think, JT? What do you think?
I don't know. That's such a weird. I have no idea where he's going to go, but I don't know. The NBA is so weird now when it comes to big men. Mm-hmm. Like they're a dying breed. I mean,
especially if you can't pass or shoot.
Yeah, Anthony Davis is like the best case scenario. Someone who can shoot long and get rebounds. I mean, they're just so different. Like LeBron played center for the Cavs at one point.
Yeah,
it's just not the same. So I don't know where he'll end up. I don't know who would need him, because you literally have to find a team that has the kind of style that still asks for somebody in that kind of position. You have to be, like you look at Joker, like he's someone who can hit threes. He's a dying breed, but he is good at being a classic center. So it really, you have to find the right team.
Hey, I want to talk about Mr. Ing's comments. He says, selling tickets. Who has fans at their games now under pandemic circumstances? Hey, bro, I don't know if you saw that Atlanta Hawks game where LeBron cussed out a chick. Hey, they are out here. And that Orlando Magic game recently.
Oh, yeah. What's because Orlando?
Because it's Orlando. Hey, man, these basketball stadiums, I don't think anybody understood this. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Once the words, we have a vaccine came out, shit was going to change. Again, you are finna get Monday Night Football presented to you by AstraZeneca, and you are about to get the NBA on TNT brought to you by Johnson & Johnson.
That's a fair point. Well, Drummond is playing on a $28.7 million expiring contract, which is certainly very difficult to match up those salaries. He's been averaging 17.5 points and 13.5 rebounds, as you said, JT. This guy can play for sure. And you're right. He's not a pop-out, hit three Anthony Davis type center. He's not like Joker where you can run your offense through him off the
pick and roll.
The pick and roll stuff. You can't do that with Drummond as well. But the Cavaliers would need to take back $23 million in contracts to make the trade work, or they could buy him out, which is a hell of a thing, and he could become a free agent. And this is all happening because they traded for Jared Allen because of that Brooklyn Nets trade. They were all involved in this Brooklyn Nets trade. So moving Drummond out, I've seen a number of places that have been considered for him. Look, we're about to talk this injury with Anthony Davis. What if Davis goes? It's going to be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. This Achilles injury, if it's more serious than they expect, and he might be out for a considerable amount of time, do you take the chance, JT, and bring Andre Drummond to the Lakers?
I mean, the Lakers have shown they'll do whatever LeBron wants. So if LeBron says,
fair point.
If LeBron says bring Drummond, they'll bring Drummond.
But LeBron, we can't find. What did I just say? LeBron, don't you see the cap?
LeBron's like, hey, come here, right?
No, LeBron don't even say that. He just hit it with a look on.
Yeah.
I'm about to tweet out this. Yeah.
Again, I think Drummond. It's so hard because the Cavs are just—they're never on TV anymore.
Nope.
You have to go on. You have to YouTube ESPN highlights.
You have to literally live in Cleveland.
Yeah,
watch the Cavs game.
And it's always hard when these players put up these great numbers on a team that's not doing anything.
Yeah.
Are they just padding the stats? But I do think Drummond's a good player. And somebody in the comments said, he would be good for the Celtics. I think you need a team who is not looking for a scoring answer. I think the Celtics actually need more scoring. Yeah. So I don't think he would be very good for that. He's going to be good on any team he goes to. It's just about finding a team that needs what he brings to the table. Yeah. So it's hard. I'd have to look at some of the teams, but for me, like nothing pops out of my head. Like this is, he should go here or there. It's probably gonna be whoever's willing to take him and feels like they could sell him. Hey, this is the role we need you to fill.
I wonder about Aldridge, over there in San Antonio. He's been
getting
kind
old.
He's 35 years old. He's certainly not playing as strongly as he played in years past. DeMar DeRozan is outplaying him this year, and I never thought I'd say that. So
you sound so petty saying that too.
I sound petty. You try to go white women.
Hey man, y'all look. Have you seen white women cooking videos? White women must be stopped. I've said it. Okay.
That's some good pasta. That was some good pasta.
Somebody said the Nets could use Drummond, and I think I actually really like the Nets.
The Nets could use some organization of damn selves, not just Drummond.
Yeah,
the Nets are getting killed on defense sometimes. Like they're scoring 140 points, and the teams are keeping up with them because their defense isn't great. I mean, if you had somebody like him that could just dominate underneath and get some of those rebounds, and just get a rebound, throw it out to any of those three guys, whether it be Kyrie, Durant, or Harden. I just don't know what the cap space is like for the Nets right now, and
it's non-existent. It's non-existent.
So I don't know how they would be able to sign them. But they would love to have him. I think that he would be a huge. If they got Drummond, Toronto would be good too. But Toronto's would be pretty good. Siakam's not playing up to his potential.
Y'all gotta remember, Toronto chilling now.
They got their championship.
They got their championship.
True,
Toronto is one of them teams that's just like, whatever. We got a chip. We were a team that everybody thought for the longest would never get to it. Yeah. We finally got it, and now they're like, all right, y'all chill out for a second. Hey, I hate to do that. I'm gonna hit you up in the private chat, Rocha.
Okay, all right. Christian Ramos says Drummond and Griffin are both in their Shaq in the Celtics phase of their careers. No, that's not true. Not Andre. It's certainly Blake.
No,
but not
Griffin
Andre.
for sure.
Yeah. And I would argue Griffin was probably doing better numbers than Shaq was in the Celtics year that he was there, for God's sakes, when you look at it. All right, let's move on we'll see what happens to Andre Drummond. We'll see how many other players. There have been a lot of rumors of other players possibly being traded soon as well. But let's move on to the Anthony Davis injury. As we mentioned, the Achilles injury. Sure. When do you need?
I got to bounce now. I just got an audition.
Okay.
Because I got an audition I got to do.
I
just want to say this as far as Anthony Davis. Those big, tall men that keep getting hurt, especially Achilles, that cuts out their career a very long time. Because, again, you blow that Achilles and the way you have to jump, stop, step, and all that in the NBA, boom, I hate to do this, but I got to audition. I got to do, and I got to get this done. Please, Twitter, Instagram, Mr. J. Washington, all that stuff. Thank you, Rocha, always. I apologize, my brother. Josh, love you. Good to see y'all. I'm out of here.
Okay, man.
Book your thing, man. All right. There goes Jay Washington. It's part of what we do here on Game Time. You have to roll with these two gentlemen who get auditions and what have you. So
no auditions coming for me. Don't worry. I hope it's a Blake Griffin commercial or movie. That would be amazing.
How's this for you? You okay with the camera angle? If we go with this route?
Don't worry. I can adjust.
Oh, nice. You do it. Oh, look at you. I got to figure out how to do that with my camera, for God's sakes. Anyway, all right. So you look at the situation here with what we're getting the reports with Anthony Davis, as we mentioned, the Achilles injury here. He aggravated his tendinosis in his right Achilles, which caused swelling, according to Wojo. And he was held out of the second half of Sunday's game. He's missed 2 games earlier this week with injury already, and the Lakers officially termed it. Last week rather, and the Lakers officials termed it a right Achilles strain. Said he will undergo an MRI on Monday in Minneapolis. JT, I think we have results of that MRI now.
I read about that. Yeah, basically, it was a strain in the calf muscle, and doesn't look like he did any damage to his Achilles. They're saying he might be out for a couple weeks, so nothing too bad. I don't think it's Anthony Davis and LeBron. To me, you just need to coast until the playoffs. And that's what LeBron has been doing for the last few years. Yeah. Although he's having an MVP type year, he's amazing. He's a freak. Yeah. He's unbelievable. All they got to do is make sure they're in the top of the playoff seedings. They don't, for him to be out, I think it almost helps them. Let him rest for a couple weeks, because once the playoffs hit, it's so funny watching NBA. The season's always entertaining, man. But when you see the playoffs start, you see the level of competitiveness and just ability raise to a whole nother level, because it's like I don't want to say they're on, cruise control the whole season. Obviously there's big games where they step it up, but you definitely see the change when playoffs start. The goal with LeBron and Davis, if I'm the Lakers, sit them out as long as they need to sit out to make sure they're 100% for the playoffs. Yeah. Because you have enough talent where you're going to make the playoffs. You don't even have to worry about the first seed, really. With LeBron, these guys, you just need to make sure you're not missing the playoffs, because they could beat anybody anywhere. That's a great point. And, Kyle Kuzma has really stepped up this season in a way that he hasn't before, JT, both on the defensive side of things and the offensive side of things. People forget these players progress. LeBron was certainly great out of the gate, but every time he fell short, it's because people were highlighting certain things about his game that he needed to work on. Even lesser talented players like Kyle Kuzma, it is a journey to achieve, great status, or good status even, or very good status as an NBA player. So seeing Kuzma, maybe this is kind of a blessing in disguise. Get Kuzma some more minutes, some more playing time, see how he handles the pressure, because the Lakers are going to play some tough teams over these next 2 to 3 weeks. So this could be a positive overall for the Lakers as well. Yeah, I love when these role players, when you get signed up with a team with LeBron and Anthony Davis, I think some players, it'll almost regress them a little bit, because they don't have the, like you said, the minutes. They don't have the game time. So for something like this to happen, for him to come in and give him a chance to really play some minutes and improve, I don't know how he's already improved, I think it's only better for the team. Yeah. So I think it's great. And listen, Kuzma, he's had some playoff experience now. Yep. He's not afraid of the big moment, which I think is good. Yep. That's something I always look for in a player. One thing I will say about LeBron, early on in his career, I always felt like he kind of shied away from the big moments at the end of games. And I feel like he's gotten better at that, and he's obviously could take a game over. But the difference between LeBron and Jordan, even Kobe, was there was no question the ball was going to be in their hands at the end of the game. Right. LeBron is much more passive in the past. He'll give the ball up. Sometimes he'll give the ball to the rookie in the corner for the wide open three. So I think Kuzma getting more playing time is only better. So I went on a little mini rant about LeBron there, but I always like to shove in a little jab or two on LeBron, because I still put Kobe and Michael Jordan over him. Kobe, you put Kobe over LeBron? Only now. I'm not talking about overall career stats. Okay. LeBron's gonna have the better stats. Yes, there's no doubt about it. But if you said, someone put a gun in my head, said you only have one game, I would want Kobe over LeBron, only because he had a killer instinct. LeBron, I don't disagree. He manages the whole game. He is somebody who will get you to the finals no matter what. He just makes the whole team better. I don't think Kobe and Jordan, they did that, but the killer instinct is not quite there for LeBron for me. Yeah. I don't disagree with you, man. I mean, if you're looking for alpha dogs with that killer instinct and ruthless killer instinct, it is certainly Jordan 1, and just slightly behind him is Kobe for sure. You could even argue at times Larry Bird. People forget how Larry loved beating you. Multiple times. LeBron gets caught up sometimes in the passive aggressive nature of his natural temperament,
And the difference there, you can always tell. It doesn't mean he doesn't get the job, doesn't mean he can't dial in and get the championships, of course. So he's certainly proven that.
Yeah.
But there's just something about Kobe and Jordan that's next level for sure.
I will say this: the eyeball test is something that people say. I've watched so many games where LeBron and his numbers come at the end of the game, and you're like, oh yeah, he had really good numbers, but like some reason when you're watching a game, he does it so maybe you're just used to it, but just it comes to him throughout the whole game. I can't tell you how many times I watched Kobe and I would just be mad. So I'd be like, this guy is too damn good. He doesn't miss. Like, what is he? I would get angry. I would literally, as a Celtics fan, watching Kobe beat us at times, I was just like, this guy is too good. LeBron, while he is a freak of nature, like he has, for some reason, he's just quieter in the way he takes over a game. Like I'm never like, oh my God, LeBron has the ball, I'm scared of him. Hell, I'm just like, oh, LeBron got the ball, he's gonna do good. Right. Remember, it was Kyrie Irving who hit that big 3-pointer to help them win the title against the Warriors. Although LeBron did a lot of the work to get him in that position. You know, who hit that big shot? Kyrie hit the big shot that hit that big shot to get Cleveland the game. Like I don't know if LeBron would have made that shot. Yep, that's a fair point. With Curry in his face. It was a straight, or was it Clay? One of the two. Straight up in his face, and he nailed it straight up. So, and I hear you. Fatima Ali says LeBron been to 10 NBA finals. I will take him. That's a valid case. Absolutely. I'll take him too. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, exactly. You know, the fact that he's lost so many of them too can't be removed from the equation. The reason Tom Brady is the GOAT is not because he's gotten to 10 Super Bowls. It's because he's won a majority of them, and that matters. You know, Jim Kelly went to 4 straight Super Bowls as the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills and couldn't win it. John Elway wasn't considered fully great until he won those last 2 Super Bowls. That shit matters. Getting there is great. Winning the majority of them is what matters in the end. So, I hear you though. I totally respect. Oh, Jesus Christ! I saw that. I saw it. Damn it! I must have just on LeBron. Here's what I'll say about LeBron. Okay, let me just say this one thing. There is like no one person I'd rather build a team around. Yeah, true. Like 1,000%. He could play every position. Yeah. He is the most versatile, more so than Kobe for sure. Like he could do way more than Kobe does. You could put him, like I told you earlier, he could play center. He played center at one point. Yeah. So for me, there's nobody I'd rather build a team around than LeBron. But last shot of the game, I have 1 minute to win it. Give me Kobe or Michael Jordan. Right. Ray Allen hit that last shot. Oh, not game 6 in Miami to help them get to that game 7 to win it eventually. But exactly. And Afrofuturism, you're absolutely right, brother. LeBron made that block, that incredible block. That was a great block to give them that shot. That's true. I've rewatched that game so many times over the last few years because I just couldn't believe they got it done. Couldn't believe it. But so you can make a case all the way around. So it's fun to discuss sports for sure. All right, let's move on to our next thing. Oh, sorry. I wanted to see if we had any StreamLabs and Super Chats. Please keep sending them in. I know Jay's not on the show for the last half an hour, but hey, it's me and JT. Please send in some contributions, some donations, some support. That's what keeps the lights on, keeps us coming back every week for sure. And JT will be coming back every week for the next few months as we talk NBA and get into all that's happening in the world of the round ball. Gentleman_scientist said the Golden State Warriors are 14-13 and 8th in the West as of this show. If the Warriors make it to the playoffs, does Steph get the MVP? He's carrying this team and making Kelly Oubre and Wiggins better than ever. Smells like an MVP to me. I don't know. JT, what do you think? I don't feel that, but what do you think? Yeah, I love that he's playing as good as he has because he's been suffering from injuries. Yeah, they're going to be in the 8th spot. So maybe they were a little bit higher. MVP is such a weird award because every year it gets given to somebody, and it's always debated about who should get. I remember Russell Westbrook; they went by the numbers. But if you took him off that team, would they really have been? Where would their placement have been? So it's hard to say. I think he would definitely maybe get some votes. I don't know if I would give it to him. And LeBron's about to go on this run without Anthony Davis. Yeah. I'm curious to see how because he's already in the front, I think in the front for MVP right now. Yeah. If he continues to win without Anthony Davis, I think you gotta give LeBron. But also this happens all the time. Players are great for so long that LeBron should probably win it every year. Almost every year he should probably win it. Yeah. Giannis ain't gonna win it. He won it 2 years in a row. Did he win 2 years in a row? I believe he did.
MVP, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think he's gonna win it. Yeah, I'd probably. I mean, Curry. I'm just glad he's playing well, man.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll get MVP, but I'm glad he's playing well. Because you never know when they come from those kind of injuries. Yeah. It takes a while. And Durant's playing great too.
He is. Durant looks fantastic. Holy shit, does he look fantastic? And
coming off a torn Achilles.
Yeah, right. And to see how well he's playing, it's pretty incredible for sure. And you look at, so let's move on to our next thing, because I think that connects as well what we're talking about here. We just mentioned, actually, let's go on to the Celtics. Let's move on to Celtics and we'll move on next. If you want to keep sending in StreamLabs Super Chats, remember the StreamLabs address is pinned to the chat. You can also see the address in the description of this video or above JT's head over there in the middle. So please send it in, any questions or suggestions you got for us. But JT wanted me to put this in, so let's talk about the Boston Celtics suffered their worst loss of the season on Sunday to my Wizards, 104-91. We've won 4 fucking games with Russell Westbrook, I think, the entire season. And they had just lost to the Detroit Pistons, who, when they beat Boston, leapfrogged the Wizards into the worst, out of the worst record in the Eastern Conference. Now maybe the Wizards have leapfrogged them, I don't know. But either way, 2 back-to-back losses to 2 of the worst teams in the NBA. They're now 13-13, and it's the first time they've been 500 this late in the season in 6 years. So you look at this, and you mentioned something about Kemba Walker. Please, what's your thoughts on what's happening with the Celtics?
Yeah. See, here's the thing. The East has the big 3. You got the Nets, Milwaukee, and Philly.
Yep.
Those are the big 3, and then it's kind of a cliff. But the Celtics aren't they're like right in between those 2 things.
Yeah.
They're not horrible. When you have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, 2 of the best forwards in the game, you're going to be in contention. For me, watching the team, and from a lot of people that I listen to, the chemistry is not there right now. Kemba Walker has been he's not like, when I say a shell of himself, I'm not saying like Blake Griffin shell of himself.
Right.
But he has not lived up to the potential that he brings, and he is a liability on defense. He does not bring anything on the defensive end. He will have a game once in a while where he goes off and scores 20 or 25, but there's been too many games where he's just off. He's not hitting his shots. He's not being aggressive like he used to, going to the basket. Right. I don't need a point guard at this point that needs to take over the game when I have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Right. I think he just doesn't fit with what they have on that team. Right. Tice is a center. I like him. He's actually hitting 3s this year, so he's improved on his shooting. I think Smart is in a lot of ways the engine of the Celtics. The way he plays on the floor, I think the other players feed off him. So I do think having Smart out of the lineup right now is hurting just their overall kind of engine in some ways. Yeah. But you got to remember this. Smart was not a starter until recently. We lost Kyrie Irving. We lost Hayward. We lost some really good players. A couple years ago when we had Smart come off the bench, Hayward, Kyrie, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown, just saying that sounds like an all-star lineup. It's insane, but it just didn't work out. I think they need to get rid of Kemba. I think he could have I think they got to trade him. Wow. I think the problem is he's got a lot of money on the table. We overpaid for him. We paid for what we thought he could be a replacement for Kyrie Irving. He's just not that. He is not Kyrie Irving. He does not take over games like Kyrie Irving. He doesn't cut to the hoop the same way like he used to back when he was with Charlotte. I think when they signed him, I was excited. I was like, this guy could be like Kyrie Irving-esque, but will be a better fit. Without the drama, he'll be a better fit. He just, with injury after injury, he doesn't look right. He doesn't look like the same player. And unfortunately, we signed him to a lot of money. So I think it's going to be really hard to trade him. They're probably going to have to hang on to him for a while. But they have some draft picks and they have some role players. I still feel like that they could go make a trade out there. I'm not quite sure who they could get. It would be a huge. I mean, listen, if they get Bradley Beal, that'd be amazing. But I don't think they have enough. I'm sorry.
We don't need Kemba. We have Russell. We can't do 2.
I know, but Beal's going to get traded. He's like the number 1 target right there.
He's playing crazy too. He's the reason we beat the Celtics.
He knows he's going to make some money. So for me, they need to go out there and they need to get somebody with a more defensive mind. I think Kemba Walker, if you put somebody a little more athletic in that position, somebody who could dish out to Brown and Tatum and bring something on the defensive end, like, you're not going to get, there's only one Ben Simmons out there. That guy's a defensive machine. Yeah. But he could, his presence changes the way that team plays. And I think the Celtics have two things. If we're not going to get rid of Kemba, which I don't think we probably will be able to, we need to get some more weapons that could come off the bench. There's no depth. We have rookies coming off the bench. Smart was one of our best players off the bench, and now he's a starter. Right. Give me some sharpshooters. Give me some snipers like that. Like, I wish we could have got Curry's brother. I wish we could have got. Yeah, I wish we could have got somebody like him. We need somebody that could give us some points outside of Tatum and Brown because Kemba's not consistent enough, and outside of those three, no one else is a consistent scorer. Yeah, and I think that's what they need. They need somebody else that could take some of the pressure off our two forwards who are all-stars and come off the bench and show us some points. Yeah. I just don't know where it's going to come from, but it needs to happen because this team is not working as it is right now.
It's a great point, man. And look, Kemba's making $34 million.
Trust me, I know.
That is insane. And
he's not playing up to it.
No, he's not. And we're only a year, almost 2 years removed from him signing a 4-year, $141 million deal with the Celtics. You're right. He was 29 at the time. He had played his first 8 seasons in Charlotte. He was averaging 25.6 points and 5.9 assists over his last campaign before he went to the Celtics. But the other part of this, and you're right, Jeff Teague is not getting the job done. They got that Peyton Pritchard kid who's doing really well. Yeah, he's good. But everyone else is not really showing up to the plate. And their other rookie, Aaron Nesmith, is like a healthy scratch the whole time because he's not playing that well.
Tristan Thompson's not going to get you points.
No, Tristan Thompson's making $9 million this year.
We need more scorers on the team. We need someone else that could be a third option to get us some points when, say, Brown or Tatum are on the bench. Who are you going for points?
Well, look, another thing I'm going to throw out to you, JT, is, and I know this is crazy probably, but is this our team's figuring out Brad Stevens here, JT? I mean, how many times he's gotten to this hurdle? He cannot get past the Eastern Conference Finals.
I know.
He can't. And now watching the way the team is underperforming under his coaching, it's his responsibility. You imagine he approved almost all these players who came on, so he's not getting the performance. If they're not leading. Is maybe have they bought out of this philosophy of Brad Stevens, or is it really just simply the Marcus Smart situation? He's been out for 2 weeks, coinciding with the Celtics not doing so well. But can one bench player who just recently got in starting lineup be that much of a difference? I don't know.
Part of me just feels like they've had a lot of bad luck. The whole Hayward thing from the get-go, from the second he broke his leg, he just never was able to really gel with the team. He put up some decent numbers. Every time he started showing like he was the player that we signed him for, he would get another injury. So for me, I feel like, and then Kyrie Irving, that whole thing was just a mess. Like the stories you hear about, like
everyone saw it coming.
Yeah,
everyone saw it coming. But
I know. So I agree with you. Like Danny Ainge is the GM. Okay. Yeah. So true. The coach can only do what he's given. I just don't think I still think he's a good coach. I'm not ready to give up on him. I just don't think they found the right mixture of players yet to give them over the hump. There's always something missing. There's always somebody who's not playing up to their potential. Yeah. I don't think Kemba Walker's playing up to his contract. Kyrie didn't look like he cared. Hayward just had too many injuries. There's been times this team looks like they could be the best time in the East in the past few years. Yeah. It just something, and I'm not. If I knew exactly what was wrong, I'd be working the NBA right now. But I just feel like as long as you have Brown and Tatum, you have those two guys in your team. You got to try to figure out a way to make it work.
You should have a shot. You have a shot.
You have a shot. Yeah. And I think this happens a lot. The NBA season's long. Yeah, they have time to figure this out. But I do think right now the biggest problem is the depth. There's not enough players to support these all-stars. Yeah. They need to get some other good role players that could score and add something else to this team. Yeah. And I think once you do that, I think we'll see. I think they could make a drastic change and maybe, at least be in the running for contention.
Yeah, I'm seeing something here on NBAanalysis.net, this idea of a trade between the Mavericks and the Celtics, where the Celtics would trade Kemba Walker and they would receive Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green, James Johnson, a 2022 second-round draft pick, and a 2024 second-round pick as well for this trade. That's how you make the salaries match up in this situation. And Hardaway is he's third on the Mavericks right now with 17.2 points per game, shooting almost 40% from 3-point range with Josh Green and James Johnson. So I mean, this is maybe
it's not bad
at all.
It's not bad. I like Tim Hardaway Jr. I like him. I think he's a good player.
Yeah,
but again, he's another small Kemba Walker type. He's not going to bring a lot of stuff on defense. Right. I want somebody who can dish the ball out.
Yeah.
And guarantee you, like, I need somebody who can just go off sometimes. Okay. I need somebody who could just take over a game once in a while. Whenever Tatum's not feeling it or Brown's on the bench, I need somebody else on that team that could just take over for a couple minutes, a 5-minute stretch, and be like, I'm only going to be in this game for so long, but I'm going to give you 15 points. There's no other Celtic on the team right now. Kemba's supposed to be that third option.
Yeah.
But he is so hot and cold that there's games where he's like, oh, this is who we signed. Yeah. But then the next night he's 2 for 11. It doesn't look like he's trying. That's why I think he has some injury issues, because I don't think it's will. I think it's what his body could do. I think he's had so many injuries. He just can't go deep like he used to every game.
Yeah. We've seen it before in the NBA many times, JT. Once a point guard crosses that wall, the dip can be so extreme. The cliff. I mean, we saw Allen Iverson couldn't even be a reserve when he was trying to come back into the NBA because he just lost that extra half step that you needed, which is what makes Derrick Rose still surviving in the NBA pretty incredible. He'll never be the Derrick Rose of old, but he's been able to carve out a living being a good player, not a great player, but certainly a good player now after the injuries that have happened to him in his life. And I
will say, though, Hardaway is a better defender than Kemba Walker.
True.
But Kemba Walker, that's because he's not a good defender. He's a liability on that side of the court. So Tim Hardaway would be an upgrade in that position. But I do like to get some second round picks there too. But I would love to listen. Best case scenario, get me Beal.
Yeah,
bring Beal in there. That's best case scenario. They probably wouldn't be able to do it until next year.
No.
But that I'd almost tell Celtics to wait and try to make a run at him.
One last trade possible, and we'll move on from this.
Yeah, let's go.
This is from fadeawayworld.net. I love reading these smaller sites to talk about this stuff. Boston Celtics get Kristaps Porzingis. Would you talk about somebody who can take over a game? Porzingis, when he's been on for the Mavericks this year, he's averaging around 20 points when he's been playing well in the games. Then the Mavericks will get Kemba, Peyton Pritchard, Robert Williams, a future first-round pick, and a future second-round pick. Is this worth it for Kristaps Porzingis?
It's a gamble because of his injury history has just been so bad lately. And I'm always wary of big guys like that because once they start getting injuries, they usually don't go away. Yeah. They usually just decline. Listen, at the end of the day, Celtics want to make sure Brown and Tatum are happy.
Yes.
They don't want these guys going anywhere. Yeah, so if they feel like that's something they have to do to make them happy, I could see them doing it. Yeah. And if he is healthy, he's dominant. Yeah. It just changes a little bit the way the Celtics have been playing. They've been playing a lot of small ball. They don't have Tice is your center. He's not like your traditional center, which a lot of teams are doing these days. So I could see it. It would be a blockbuster trade. I think it would, I'd rather have him than Kemba for sure. Yeah. But my worry is Porzingis. Can he stay healthy?
Yeah. That's what you'd be banking on that. Yeah.
But listen, I'll tell you, honestly, today I would probably take that trade. I would rather, because there's more upside to it. It could go wrong with the injuries and all that. Sure. But anytime you could get a player like that size that could shoot and put him next to Tatum and Brown, there could be some real interest. The pick and roll game would actually probably be really good with that.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what happened there for sure. All right, let's move on to another story here as we're wrapping up. We're heading into the last 15 minutes of the show, people. Please, as we said, send in your StreamLabs super chats. Oh, real quick, we did get one StreamLab from gentleman_scientist. Again, thank you so much for your donations today, gentlemen. He said, great show, guys. Of these 4 NBA records, which would fall first? 68-point margin of victory, 117 points and a half, 30 assists in one game, or 33-game win streak. Which one will fall first?
That's tough. Read that again. I gotta make sure I get them all.
68-point margin of victory in one game, 117 points and a half, 30 assists in one game, I imagine by one person, and the 33-game win streak.
Those are all really hard.
You know what's crazy? Only one team comes to mind when I look at all four of those things. That's the Nets.
Yeah,
I could see the Nets winning a game by over 68 points.
Yeah,
I could see them scoring 107 points in one half, or Harden getting 30 assists, which we'll get to in just a second, or a 33-game win streak to maybe end the year. I don't know. What do you think, JT?
Out of all those, I would say the 33 is probably the most likely. If you got a team like Golden State back when they had Durant and all those guys, like if you get a good enough team with a schedule and things go their way, that's more than likely. I just get 117 and a half. I don't even know if the math works out with the minutes. Like there'd have to be zero defense. What's the closest? What was the highest score before halftime?
I think 160. If he's saying 107 points is the record.
When the hell was that? Was that not that long ago?
Let me take a look real quick.
Like,
what do you think about
30 assists?
Yeah, but what do you think about? I mean, couldn't the Nets win a game by 68 points if they play like the Pistons after they trade Griffin? They really don't have much going on there. They could destroy a team.
That is embarrassing if that ever happens. So, man, if you're a team and you lose by that much, like, what do you do? Like, I don't even know what you do after a game like that. I mean, that's a team that has fully given up.
Yes.
If that's what happens. All those sound really hard. 30 assists, I could kind of, if you get a really good point guard and you got a team that's explosive enough, I could see that. If someone's hitting their shots, I could see I guess the 30 assists probably makes the most sense.
Let's see, Kevin. Okay,
it's tough though.
Yeah, I think the most points scored in a half, from what I'm seeing here, the most points ever scored in an NBA game was by Phoenix when they scored 107 points in the first half versus the Denver Nuggets on November 10th, 1990. And that was the second most points ever scored first half. Second, it was first. And second was 92 by the 2018 Warriors against the Denver Nuggets. So,
see, the Warriors, when you got something like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, if they're all just hitting every shot, that's like that makes sense to me. You have to have a high profile offense, but I could see how you say the net. I could see the Nets actually doing that.
Yeah, but
they would have to. To me, that's more about the team they're playing, the team that's scoring. Like, what team is allowing that to happen?
Well, Dave Drown makes a great point. The Nets don't have the defense to win by that much.
That's why I was saying about Drummond earlier. Like, they use somebody like Drummond because they have to score 140 every game because they have no defense.
Yeah, that's true. We shall see. I mean, Harden. Let's get to this last story here before we wrap up. Yeah, Kyrie Irving and James Harden apparently had a matter of fact conversation, according to Kyrie Irving, about what position, who is going to play what position. And Irving said in an interview that we established maybe 4 days ago that Harden is the point guard and I'm going to play shooting guard. That was as simple as that. He said it's not a mystical conversation that we had. And in Saturday's game against the Warriors, Harden had 16 assists, raising his 11.3 assists per game average since joining the Nets in mid-January. It's the most assists he's dished out since the 2016-2017 season. And Harden said when he came to the Nets that he was happy to play any role. I think he just wants a shot at a chip with these guys. They're 5-2 going out of the last 7 games. I don't know. They on Saturday against the Warriors, Harden, Irving, and Durant scored or assisted on 100 points for Brooklyn. Just those 3 guys were responsible for those 100 points in that situation. Harden said, I came to this team knowing that they have 2 special scorers. Obviously, I score when I need to, but as long as I'm getting everybody involved and Kyrie is getting the shots that he wants, KD is getting the shots that he wants, it's pretty efficient. Yeah, I've always had the suspicion about James Harden, JT, that he was never an alpha dog. Could he lead a team? Yes, but he was never going to be the killer instinct guy. He's just too laid back. He's hanging out at strip clubs. He's coming in late to practices and what have you. He doesn't have that killer instinct that you need to do to have to be the alpha dog. He was certainly talented enough to lead this Rockets team for as long as he did and get them within a hair's breadth of getting to the NBA Finals. If Chris Paul maybe doesn't go down with that injury a couple of years ago against the Warriors, they get there, but in the end couldn't get the job done. So it's no surprise that he moves to Brooklyn, and he's like, I'm totally cool just dishing the ball. I could score a lot if I wanted to, but it doesn't help the team. So do you like this philosophy? Do you buy that Kyrie had a matter-of-fact conversation for the first time in his life with anybody like James Harden? What do you think?
I think it's a smart move. Someone who watched Kyrie with the Celtics, I feel like even though he was a point guard, he really was kind of a score first, I'm going to take over the game kind of guy.
Yeah.
And you really felt like he was going to get his shots no matter what. Right. So for me, I feel like watching Harden play with the Rockets, he's honestly a pretty good point guard. Like he's someone who will obviously take the shot when the big moment comes, and he will take over the game at times, but he was really good, especially that Houston, their mentality was pass the ball, get an open three. They played small ball, like PJ Tucker was their center hitting threes in the corner. So for me, Harden already kind of has that mentality built in, whereas I always saw Kyrie as more of an attacker when it came to playing basketball. So I think this is just the best case scenario. I think let Kyrie, be a shooting guard. He'll get his shots. He'll attack the rim, and then let Harden dish out to Durant and whoever else he wants to. But the good thing is, like you said, the biggest ding on Harden's career is his playoff resume.
Yep.
Gets in the playoffs, and there's games where he just disappears. He doesn't have the game where he'll score 51 playoff game, and the next game he'll have like 10. And you're just like, where is this guy? What's going on? I don't quite know why that is. It happens with other players. It's just something you said. Maybe it's something to do with just their engine and their drive. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I think by going to this team, having Durant and Kyrie, who you don't have to worry about that. They're going to ball out every game.
Yeah,
they're going to ball out every game. Exactly. So he could be that reserve. I could dish the ball out, but guess what? I could also take over the game for a little bit when need be. So it's a ridiculous, just a king of riches over there. Like those three on the one team is just insane. And I do think, Kyrie has proven he'll hit the big shot at the end of the game. Yeah. Durant has proven it also. Right. He hasn't proved it, but now he doesn't have to.
And, I think this is quietly why he went to Brooklyn, JT, to be honest with you. I think he doesn't want to hit the big shot. I think he doesn't want to have the pressure of having to do those kinds of things. So if he can sit in the background and let KD do his thing, let Kyrie do his thing, and they take responsibility for hitting the last shot, you couldn't ask for two better dudes on a team to be your last shot takers. Both of them, especially if you're collapsing the defense on one of your drives like James can do, and you're dishing out to a wide open KD or a wide open Kyrie to take that last shot to help you win a championship possibly. That's the situation. And Harden can get all the credit for being a great assist person. And if either one of those two is not stepping up and having a bad night, James Harden can take over and facilitate and score points.
I will carry you through the first three quarters. Yeah. You two take me through the last. Yeah. Like he could do that. He's good enough where he could take over. He could carry a game for 2 quarters and then let Kyrie and Durant go off in the fourth.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to have that option.
To me, he's quietly one of the greatest basketball minds in the NBA, and people don't give him enough credit because he draws those fouls. It takes intelligence to draw the fouls that he's drawing. He isn't just walking in there like Draymond Green does and doing unnatural shooting positions. James gets in there and he finds the cracks. He finds the holes in the lane. He finds those positions to make you give him the foul because you're thrown off by his ability to slide into you physically the way he does. And it takes a certain level of genius to do that. Plus, you can't deny what he's able to do with the Rockets. You're right. Regular season was incredible. Playoffs, you can ask questions, but still, he was able to be the the air marshal of that team in essence, general of that team for as long as he was. So let him sit back, get his ring. Why not?
He's one of the best offensive one-on-one players I've ever seen. He could do. Sometimes the defenses, they can't do anything. He's like, I'm either going to shoot it, step back and shoot it, or I'm going to drive it, either make a layup or I'm going to get fouled. Yeah. Exactly. So he's guaranteed points.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if this holds true, JT, because Kyrie, he'll say this one day and then 3 days later he's like, no, I want to be the point guard now. So we'll see. Because we saw this with LeBron and Dwayne and Bosh. Bosh had to take a back seat, and then we saw Cleveland where Kevin Love had to take a back seat. Both those guys fucking hated it. They got the chip, they got the ring, they got the title, but they kind of hated the experience getting there. So is Harden going to be okay taking a back seat to these two guys? My suspicion is he will, but we shall see if Kyrie allows that to happen, because you know how unreliable he can be.
Yeah, he might just want to, but I'm going to go away for 2 more weeks. I'll be back.
I've got other things I need to address.
I was so happy when he left the Celtics, but it was weird because you're losing a great player.
Of course, yeah.
But you would think you lose a great player like that, you would be depressed and destroyed. I was okay with it. Yeah. So that just goes to tell you how much a headache it is to have him on your team. But
it's
good. It is what it is, man.
Exactly. It's like Ben Bateman. We got rid of Ben Bateman off the exchange. There's a headache on the team. We got
get out of here. Yeah, totally.
He thinks the earth is flat as well. All right. Anyway, let's get out of here. We were going to cover the Suns, but we'll talk about them. They're on a great winning streak, and they're killing it right now. They're a team to watch. Shout out to Ace Cabrera, who's probably loving this season, carrying on how well they were playing in the bubble, JT, into this season. Well, you know what? Quick thoughts before we wrap up. Any about the Suns? How do you feel about them? What Monty Williams is doing?
Me and Ace text each other pretty often whenever the Celtics or Suns are playing, because he's a big NBA fan. So sometimes I'll get a text from Ace being like, "What? I can't believe the Celtics lost." I'll text him, be like, Booker's playing. Listen, Booker's officially with Kendall Jenner. He's just loving life. I think it's showing on the court what's going on in his life. Yeah, Suns, they were one of the big stories from the bubble last year. Mm-hmm. It's great to see Devin Booker just continue playing amazing. Yeah. I like that team. To me, I'm curious to see them in the playoffs again, because, again, it's 2 stories. What you do in the season, what you do in the playoffs really kind of tell me what the team is made of. Yeah. But the future is bright. The future is bright for Phoenix. As long as you got Booker on that team balling out the way he is, I'm not surprised they're winning these games. I think they have a really good roster, and it's a young roster. And I'm excited to see them. To me, anytime a team like that who's just been in the gutter for so long, Phoenix has not been good for so long, since the Nash days with Sotomayor. The last time they were relevant. I'm just excited for them to be in the running again, and I'm happy for Ace.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we'll have Ace on here for a couple episodes to talk about NBA stuff as the Phoenix keep rolling along. It'd be great to talk with Ace about it as well. All right, well, let's wrap it up. JT, thanks again, man. I mean, you're going to be on now for the next few weeks. Really appreciate you stepping in. It's going to be a joy. Always, it's been fun. It was fun last week. It's even more fun this week. So you guys who are watching now, expect to see JT on every Monday talking all this stuff and getting it, especially as we get the NBA season now really in full swing and
an all-star game.
Yeah, the All-Star game is right around the corner as well. Where can people find you, man, and everything you got going on, brother?
Right here, JT Movie Things on Twitter. I have a YouTube channel that's pretty dormant right now, but once movies eventually start getting back to normal, I'm hoping to start that back up. But for now, you can just catch me here talking sports, talking movies on my Twitter, man.
Nice. And any movie you saw this weekend that you want to throw out as a suggestion?
So I really want to see Judas and the Black Messiah, but
that's good.
I know. I resisted watching it at home because there's a movie theater playing it near me.
Wow.
So, so I actually have movie theaters out here. So I resisted watching it home. I'm going to probably go see it here tonight or the next 2 nights. I'm going to go see it. When a movie is that good that I'm hearing it's that good. Yeah. Anytime I could get the chance to see it in the theater over, watching at home, I'm going to take that opportunity. Because I just feel like when you're in a theater and everything is, your phone's off, you're just locked in. That is still, the best movie going experience for me. So trust me, there was a point last night where I came really close to just throwing out my TV and watching it. But I said, no, I will wait for the movie theater. Have I watched anything recently besides that? I revisited Shanghai Noon just because sometimes you want to put on a movie that's just fun. Yeah. I'm sure, Judas and the Black Messiah is not a fun movie. No, it isn't. But good. I will say this, and this might be controversial. I think Shanghai Noon and Night are better than the Rush Hour movies.
Wow.
I think they're better shot. I think, and also I'll say the Jackie Chan fight choreography is actually better in those movies than they are Rush Hour. I think the Rush Hour movies might be funnier. I'll give it that. It might be a little bit funnier, but I think Owen Wilson is really funny in these films. And I think the Jackie Chan martial arts playing with the old Western, and especially the second one, he does some Buster Keaton type like choreography in that movie that are straight up. He's trying to duplicate some of his favorite films from the silent era in that second film. So, listen, I know it might not be the most popular. I still love the Rush Hour movies. I think Chris Tucker's hilarious. But I do think maybe those first two Shanghai movies are actually just overall better movies.
Respect. Yeah, I haven't seen those in a long time. Might be time to revisit them. I could use some good laughter for sure during all the madness that's going on in the world. Also, JT is on the stereo app. I'm on the stereo app. I think JT and I are going to have some stereo conversations about our faction, about other things, maybe some NBA talk that's off game time as well. That'd be a lot of fun. So follow us both on there as well. And definitely follow my girlfriend as well at The Lady Outlaw. We're about to go on to our 24-week MCU revisit. We're gonna do it. She's never seen any of the movies, but WandaVision got her into wanting what's happening.
None of them. She's never seen any of them.
None of them. We've had to stop watching WandaVision multiple times to explain to her what's happening and go forward. Do you recommend chronological or release?
I go release. But if I were to go back and rewatch the whole thing again, I definitely would like to try the chronological. So what would you see? Would you start with First Avenger?
Yeah, you would start Captain America first of it. I mean, you could argue you could start with Black Panther because it starts at the beginning of the world. But that's only just a small part of the movie.
But that's a small part. I would so it would probably go Captain America, then Captain Marvel.
Yeah, Captain Marvel. That's
that's interesting, man.
We'll see. We'll see.
So which one are you doing? You just said
we haven't decided yet.
So you're trying to
everybody's opinions, and then we're going to make.
I think for the first time watch, you go release.
Yeah.
And then if you ever want to do it again, then you give it maybe go chronological that time.
Yeah, because also when you get the release order, there's a little more mystery of what's happening.
For sure.
You can get that explained going along. Yeah, actually. Oh, yeah, and Disney Plus has both theatrical and timeline playlists.
Yeah.
Which is nice. So that's good. Absolutely.
Definitely.
All right, let's get on out of here. JT, thanks again, brother man. Follow him at everything he does. Follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram and on Stereo. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below. We're getting close to crossing 16,000 subscribers. Can't thank you all enough. We're the little channel that could, the little outlet that could, and it's a big reason, and you all are a big reason why. So, and if you haven't watched our WandaVision reviews on the Geek Buddies, we just did episode 6. It's almost at 15,000 views. So go and give it some views yourself and get it all explained to you what's happening in this crazy world of Westview and in the crazy world of the MCU for right now. All right, talk to you later, and follow Jay Washington where he is as well. And we'll see you next week with another brand new live episode of Game Time. Take care until then. Peace.